The meeting of Liverpool City Council for the 28th of August 2024 officially open. I'd like to remind everyone that in accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice, today's meeting will be live streamed other than the public forum section. To start today, I would like to invite Reverend Paul, I should be able to pronounce it by now, my apologies, Paul Mozarchuk from the Liverpool Baptist Church, who would like to read the prayer of council and acknowledgement of country. Could I invite everyone to please stand? And that'll be followed by the national anthem.
Before we begin proceedings, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet and their ancestors past and present. The Cabragul clan of the Darug Nation. I also acknowledge that this land was accessed by the people of the Darawal and Darug nations. We affirm our hope and dedication to the good government of our city and the well-being of all of Liverpool's residents, no matter their race or creed. This afternoon, we affirm our hope for sound decision-making by Council, which will improve the quality of life in our city. We express our expectations and best wishes for Australia, our nation's future, the Mayor, councillors and staff of Council, and all those associated with good government in Liverpool. And now we pray. Sovereign Lord, we thank you for the opportunity we have to once again meet in these council chambers. We thank you for this great blessed country of Australia and for the privilege that we have in living here. We thank you especially for the city of Liverpool and all who call this place home and pray for her peace. In the words of your prophet Amos, we pray, let justice roll down like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream. We pray protection for our law enforcement and emergency workers who have to deal with difficult and dangerous situations every day. There are also many in our community who are in need. Enable us as a community to care. We pray for the Mayor and councillors who have been elected to lead our city and placed as authority over us. We also pray that you would bless their families and loved ones. We pray that the deliberations within these chambers would be honouring to you and that good and just decisions will be made. That in these days of much uncertainty, these men and women will lead us by word and example. May you give them wisdom and courage and conviction, Lord, to do what is right for the good of the whole community and in honour of you. For we pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Please be seated. And Reverend, thank you very much for your prayers and your kind words and your continued support for council. It is greatly appreciated. Now we have, is Councillor Kanib on the line, or was he not attending remotely today? No, can't see him. Nope. Okay. All right. So we have an apology from Councillor Carneeb. Moved Councillor Green, seconded Councillor Calienda. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. Councillors, we have two condolence motions today, unfortunately. The first is Mr. Barney Allen, OAM. With sadness, I acknowledge the passing of a distinguished member of our community, Mr. Barney Allen, OAM, founder and managing director of Allen Property Group. Mr. Allen passed away on Sunday, the 4th of August, following a brief illness. He leaves behind a profound legacy and survived by his 4 children and 4 grandchildren. Barney Allen was a remarkable figure in the property development industry and true community leader. Born in Pakistan and moving to Australia at a young age, Barney's story is one of inspiration and achievement. In 1991, Barney founded the Allen Property Group, which quickly grew to become one of Sydney's top builders. Under his leadership, the company achieved remarkable success, with more than $3 billion in sales and delivery of over 40 master plan communities across New South Wales and Victoria. His connection with the Liverpool community is particularly noteworthy. In 2002, Allen Property Group undertook its first development in Liverpool LGA, known as the Pavilions in Prestons. This project was a testament to Barney's vision and values, winning the UDIA Award for Best Medium Density Project. Over the years, Allen Property Group has developed over 500 lots within Liverpool LGA and currently has 4 active projects in the area. The relationship between Allen Property Group and Liverpool City Council has been one built on trust and cooperation, a relationship that Barney Allen held in high regard. His work here has left a lasting impact not only through physical developments, but through the sense of community they fostered. His contributions to the community extend beyond his professional achievements, with his involvement in the Wesley Mission and various philanthropic efforts earning him the Order of Australia Medal in 2004. On behalf of the Liverpool community, I extend our deepest condolences to Barney's family, friends, and colleagues. May his memory be a blessing, and may his vision and values continue to shape our community for years to come. The next one is for Mr. Alan Bull. I express the sorrow of the Liverpool community at the passing of Mr. Alan Bull on the 26th of July, the day that the Paris Olympics opened. Alan Bull was a remarkable figure in the world of diving, both on a national and international level. His outstanding contributions as a coach, mentor, judge, and referee were recognized when Diving New South Wales awarded him life membership in 2012. Alan's influence reached far beyond the diving community. He trained drivers from across New South Wales and was a beloved figure in Lightning Ridge, where he made significant contributions. However, his roots were firmly planted in Liverpool, where he was born, raised, and educated at Liverpool Public School. He started his career in our community, embodying the values of dedication and service that Liverpool holds dear. Alan was also deeply committed to Liverpool Rotary Club, where he held various leadership roles, including president. His passion for youth development was evident in his active involvement in the RIPEN, Rotary's Youth Enrichment Program. He tirelessly supported numerous charitable causes, often alongside his good friend, the late Harry Hunt, demonstrating his unwavering commitment to making a difference. The loss of Alan Bull is a profound one for our community, the diving world, and everyone who had the privilege of knowing him. On behalf of the Liverpool community, I extend our heartfelt condolences to Alan's family, friends, and all those lives he touched. His legacy of service and dedication will continue to inspire us, and he will be greatly missed. Could I ask, I move that we receive the condolences and have a minute of silence. Second, Deputy Mayor. All those in favour, against, declare carried. Could I ask everyone to please stand? Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Our next item on the agenda is the confirmation of minutes for 3 meetings, the 24th of July, the 25th of July, and the 13th of August 2024. Deputy Mayor?
Mr Mayor, I'm happy to move with one correction that I've picked up from the meeting of the 13th of August 2024. And that was on Conf 01 on page 94 of the booklet. I believe that although Councillor Green would like to be recorded as having abstained, she should have also been noted as voting against in the absence of not voting in the chamber.
Yes, that's correct. Can we please have that adjusted, please? Do you have a seconder for the minutes? Seconder, Councillor Amoon. Any discussion? And you moving all 3 of them?
Yes, that's fine.
And your correction was for the 24th of July. Lovely. Okay. If there's any discussion?
Correction was for the 13th of August.
13th of August. And which item, just so we can make sure we have the right one?
It was Conf 01. It's on page 94 of today's booklet.
Great. So she should be noted as being recorded as voting against rather than abstain, as there were no abstentions. Yeah. Great. So that's moved. Deputy Mayor, seconded Councillor Amoon. Great. If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against, and declare it unanimous. Are there any declarations of interest?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I have one.
Yes, Councillor.
It's CONF 04, the Order of Liverpool Awards. It's a non-pecuniary, less than significant, on the basis that, as a professional basis, it's impossible not to know people that are being awarded or nominated for awards. I will be staying in the room and I will be voting.
Great.
I also have declaration of interest.
Sorry, Councillor Rhodes, can you turn your microphone off, please?
Sorry.
Yes, Councillor Green.
I have a conflict of interest declaration on the same item, Conf 04, Order of Liverpool Awards, non-pecuniary, less than significant. I will be staying in the chamber and voting on the...
And can you explain why it's... What is it? I think you have to explain why.
I declared a conflict of interest at the nomination process and abstained from voting on... For one, I know one person.
You know one person.
I know one person.
Yep, great, wonderful. Right, wonderful.
I have a conflict as well, Mr Mayor.
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
On the same item, Conf 04, the Order of Liverpool Awards, it's not significant, non-pecuniary, less than significant. However, because I nominated one of the recipients, I declared the same conflict at the committee meeting, and I will leave the chamber and I won't vote on the matter.
Yep.
And also I have a conflict in COM 06, which is the same conflict I declared at the last meeting, non-pecuniary, less than significant, being that I have a family member who occasionally does work for one of the board members of Meals on Wheels in a completely separate institution to that. However, I will leave the chamber for the discussion.
Wonderful.
Mr Mayor, I have a conflict of interest. Declaration of interest for Order of Liverpool Awards, item Conf 04. It's non-pecuniary, less than significant, and details are outlined on the screen above. And I've completed a form which has been submitted to Council, and therefore will leave the chambers and remove myself when it's been discussed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I also declare a conflict of interest in the same item. I know a number of the recommended recipients, and I also have worked with one of them in their capacity in the local SES unit. And given I am the Parliamentary Secretary for Emergency Services, I will be leaving the room for that item and will not be voting on it.
Sorry, can you, what was the last thing you said?
So one of the proposed
The last part.
I will
You-
not be voting on
Right.
it because of my role as the Parliamentary Secretary for Emergency Services.
Can you just do the disclosure in the proper fashion, please? You haven't indicated whether it's pecuniary, non-pecuniary, less
I
than
did.
significant.
I did non-pecuniary,
Okay.
non-significant, but due to the fact that it overlaps with my role.
So
and
non-pecuniary,
one of
less
the-
than significant.
And one of the intended recipients is involved with the local SES unit.
Yep.
I will have to.
And
leave
the item number, please.
Conf 04.
Conf 04, lovely. Okay. If everyone could please hand those up to the CEO, please, that would be lovely. Any other further declarations of interest? If there's no further declarations, we'll now move into the public forum, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome our report that has just been provided to us for the consideration of council. That council receives a report back in the November council meeting. When's the next 2168 Youth Parliament sitting? November?
Okay.
Well, maybe do
Through the CEO, that we will be, okay, yeah, November.
13th. 13th of November. So I'll actually do that I'll make that back to the October council meeting. So report back to the October council meeting. A report that comes back to the October council meeting. Not that date, it says dates back. Comes back to. Council meeting. That deals with the items raised by the 2168 Children's Parliament. That includes, and if we can go to point form now, please. That includes one improved CCTV. Sorry, improved. Can we just go to point form, please? Street lighting. I did take some notes. You just let me know if I've missed any. All right. But thank you, and I will ask you to table that, please, if you don't mind. So improved. Brighter street lights. Speed humps around the Miller shops. Implementation of an alcohol-free zone. Improve CCTV or increase CCTV. And a report on how to improve park maintenance. Now, if we can do a another part, rights to, so not as a point 6, as the next item. Can we do that as a different, yeah, different paragraph? So rights to the Minister for Police, asking for more police resources in the area. Resources and patrols. No. Rights to the shopping centre. Asking for improved collection of trolleys. Eight, rights to the local member. With these issues. Now, gentlemen, did I miss which ones did I miss? Yeah, toilets. That's CC. That was number 4. Oh, number 4 is CCTV. Number 5, how to improve parking and maintenance. And if we can add on to the back of number 5, including toilets. Apartments. So what was that educational?
Different languages.
Oh.
Signs with different languages for the more common used languages that are not English in parks and other places, because sometimes people have trouble reading something.
So multilingual signage. Multilingual educational signage. So, don't worry, even if we miss some, don't worry, we'll have the report. So we'd like the report and the statistics as well. So we'll include that. But these are the main points I think which we all heard there. Yeah, Councillor Green.
With your indulgence, and I think thank you so much. Your speech today is fantastic, and I think it is an invitation to this council to actually dream big. I note that the Miller Social Inclusion Master Plan was passed by Council in 2022. It was endorsed. Much of what the young people have spoken about, particularly in the parks and natural environment, the Miller Master Plan was designed to be rolled out in 3 tranches. The first tranche was the improvement of all parks. There's a whole list of them in the back. I'm wondering, Mr Mayor, if you might consider including in this that staff we begin to investigate funding streams to begin the implementation by stages of the Miller Social Inclusion Master Plan that covers quite a bit of what the children have raised with us today. And I must also say that in our door knocking through 2168 over February, March and into April, many of these issues were also raised in that. So maybe this is an opportunity for council, after hearing from our young people in such a powerful speech, to encourage us to to step up and to start investigating. It's an endorsed plan by council. Let's start it.
Happy to put at and look at funding options for the Miller Master Plan.
Social Inclusion Master Plan. That's its proper title. That's all.
So, and including state and federal funding.
Can I just ask a question on that, if you don't mind, Councillor Green? Being that it was passed in 2022 and by this council, 2021, yeah, no problem. Even
It hasn't come to this council in this term, but it was endorsed.
it was endorsed in the last term of council. So I would imagine that it hasn't just sat there without any funding being sought so far. So can I also, as part of that report, have an update on what has happened since 2021 to that plan and where we are with funding? Because it's been 3 years. Thank you.
Through the chair also, Mr Mayor, back in February 2022, our first council meeting, I actually moved the motion regarding the parks and estates that they were in at the time, and we allocated or we discussed on how we can improve those, and we're still waiting on how we're progressing with it. So if you can let us know on that report as well, that'll be great.
So that's on. Just hold that thought for a second. Let me get this one right. So about the Miller, receive an update on funding the Miller social infrastructure master plan, including state and federal funding. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Receive a report on funding strategies. Just put that at the front. If you put that on point 2, if you just put that at the front. On funding, master plan. And if you go to the end of the sentence, including state and federal funds. Just put that at the end of the sentence. Oh yeah, whatever. Yeah. And Deputy Mayor was saying, so you're covered in point B, bring a report to council on the set of what has been done since the adoption of the plan in 2021.
What's been done to progress the plan since its adoption in 2021? Yeah,
Yep.
that covers it.
Yep. And Councillor Moon, your point was?
Just receiving a report on how did we go with that motion being passed and what has council done about it since.
Yeah. So, yeah. Just
So
one
basically,
second.
question with notice.
Receive a report. Was yours February?
Yeah.
22? Yeah, and I know, and we have also the Michael Wendon master plan
Yep.
as well, which we've been working on.
Well, within the Miller social.
Just one second. I want to make sure we got. Excuse me, Councillor Green. I got to Councillor Rhodes first. So, report back to council. Yeah, what's A endorsed in 21 for improving our parks? A is not relevant. It should be receive a report on, let's say, motions passed by this council regarding 2168.
Yeah.
And motions passed in the council since. Yes, Councillor Rhodes.
Just a question.
Sorry, who's got the mic?
Just a question.
Mic, please, Councillor. Councillor Rhodes.
Okay, it's on now. Okay, just a question regarding the park maintenance. Now, I know there's been a lot of work done on that by this council, and recently I think we've received information saying that we finally got into place the the system where there's delegated people to different areas, and there would obviously then be delegated people to the 2168 area. Just a question then, perhaps to the CEO, how is that going? Is that been fully implemented at this stage?
Thank you, Councillor. Through the chair. So the system that councillors were briefed on was Brightly Aesthetic. So the system is has been fully funded, been approved last year by council on the back of the Parks report, which was given to council a year ago. And it will be fully up and running in November this year after training on the system. The system allows us to look at predictive maintenance cycles of parks and also to cost what the life cycle costs of maintenance are of parks, gardens and grassed assets as we move towards the large-scale acquisition of same in Aerotropolis.
And just a further question then to that, does that include the maintenance of the toilets, which seems to be the reoccurring, most commonly raised issue about the maintenance of our parks?
No.
Could it contain also the maintenance of any toilet areas in the parks?
Ultimately, the system will look at all the assets and have a hierarchical approach to the ongoing maintenance and renewal of every asset, including toilets.
On a regular basis. These toilets we're talking about is not long-term, it's regular cleaning of the toilets, a routine which happens. I don't know how often we have to do it.
At the moment, there is a hybrid mix of council cleaners and contracted cleaners maintaining our toilets within our parks. And this is up for review and tender as we speak.
So when will that be actually back at council? Do we need to include something like that in this which is becoming quite a large motion? Or is that report, when is that report coming to council? What's the question?
What report?
The report on something that includes the maintenance of toilets in parks.
I haven't been asked for one, councillor, but I can give you one if you want.
Well, I think we should include it in this motion then. Because
this is specifically about 2168. I don't want to.
if we can get one.
Through the chair, in my original motion in February 22, I actually specified that. So if you want to go back to that, you can probably use it.
Yep. Okay. Yes, Councillor Rhodes.
I was asking, can we get that included into this motion? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. This one's is about 2168. I think once you start putting everything else outside of it, it confuses the motion.
It was a specific thing brought up by the young boys who talked today.
About 2168.
About 2168. Their parks, the most common complaint that they have
it's in there. We got that.
is about the toilets.
Yeah, we got
the
that.
toilets specifically.
Yep, we've got that. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to inform the amazing young gentleman who presented to us today that we do have something coming up in Operation 03 as well about traffic calming devices around the Miller Shopping Precinct. It's just been held over from this year to the next to this financial year coming. So that's something that we've considered as well. So thank you for bringing that to our attention again.
Yeah, well, hopefully that can be covered under the police when we write to the police about more measures. Yes, Councillor Green.
Can I just quickly remind us that within the Miller Social Inclusion Master Plan, the redevelopment of Michael Wendon is within that. That's in the second part or the third part that's rolled out. The plan is rolled out in 3 tranches. So the redevelopment of Michael Wendon and a purpose-built community centre for is also part of that. The whole precinct being revitalised, and that's what we need is a revitalisation of that area. So I'm just flagging that the Michael Wendon pool is already covered in the master plan.
Just need to find $20 million.
But we very well might. You never know.
Councillor Howell? Been seeking
Yes.
for a while.
Just a couple of comments. Very good comments from those young people. It reflects what the community itself wants to do, and I think it reflects what councillors have been trying to do for a number of years. Good luck to you, and I hope that you are the future leaders who will try and do something about it. Thank you. The other thing on 1G, right to the shopping centre asking for improvements in collection of shopping trolleys. Question is, have we done anything about it? I believe the legislation changed so that we should in fact be able to confiscate and fine people who abandon trolleys. Has anything like that been done lately or in this term?
So just on that, I know that there was a campaign, a very high visibility campaign that was run in the previous term of council around impounding trolleys that were discarded and on the streets at the council depot. And I think there was moves made to use them for scrap metal or something like that, which actually did bring some of the major retailers to the table. Now, my office recently called council and was advised that council no longer does anything like that. So would you be able to provide clarity about that?
Yeah, that's not consistent with my understanding. So the illegal dumping team, part of the waste services team at operations, not only collect them and hold them and notify the shopping centres that they will be destroyed, but they actively try and encourage and influence shopping centres to do their own recovery. But it is clearly an issue, and we will look at that that problem over the upcoming period and report back to council about renewing that program, because I don't think it's dead. I just think it probably slipped off the radar. There seems to be shopping trolleys used by a lot of people for a lot of different reasons in Liverpool.
All right, wonderful. Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone. I will now put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against? Unanimous. And thank you very much, gentlemen. Please pass it on. We'll now move on to motions of rescission. So next item is NOMR01. Page 97, tab 1, with the recommendation on page 97. Separate document? Oh, am I going? Okay.
It's been listed incorrectly in the agenda, but it's a separate document.
Okay. Sorry, folks. My apologies. Where is that separate? Yep. Cool.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just kick the discussion off on this. I was in the ARIC committee
Just
meeting.
we need a mover and a seconder, and I
Do you want to move it then? That way you can pick it.
I think technically it's the people who've put the rescission motion in are the ones who need to move it. Sorry, can you put your microphone on, please, Councillor Green?
I will move the motion, Mr Mayor.
Yep. You have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Calienda. Would you like to speak for your motion, Councillor Green?
Yes. I think it's important that given the reservations, I can't think of the right word. The concerns, sorry, that were raised in ARIC. Really, ARIC is there for a very good reason, to flag when there are risks that we should be aware of. I think in light of that, that we should at least be be looking to ARIC for the advice to be able to follow the process that should have been followed, and that not enough information has been provided in terms of either the ARIC or the issues that were raised within the ICAC recommendations.
Mr Mayor, I've got a couple of questions to ask. Perhaps that might help.
Yes, Councillor.
The first question, Mr Mayor, would be that I was actually at the ARIC committee meeting when this was raised. My question is, has a response been given to ARIC at this stage on the issues that they raised?
Yes, Councillor, through the chair. Yes, during the meeting, it was evident that issues were raised by the ARIC, who took a particular position. The response to them immediately was that we have put in place not only retrospective remedies in relation to the way direct negotiations occurred in this instance, but the fact that they could not occur again. The second acronym on ARIC, of course, is RISK, and we outlaid a number of initiatives which we would undertake prior to putting this paper back up to council, and we delayed it 3 times for that exact purpose. In review of the way that the matter was conducted, there was nothing that required a referral to any other agency. It was dotted I's and crossed T's, and a deviance from the ICAC guidelines to the extent that we could have done it better. We also told ARIC that we would go and get their major point of concern in this matter, given the circumstances and the contemporary environment in which we were operating, was a single quote. We remedied that by seeking independent valuation, which gave us a second quote, of which we considered the commercial value and best value to council in that process. That gave me, as acting CEO, surety that the dots and cross T's in the next occasion will be met, and that we can do no more about this commercial deal to make it any better, and any further delays to the process won't fix up the immaterial issues that were raised by immaterial residual issues that were outstanding to ARIC, which meant basically rewrite your policy, adopt the ICAC guidelines next time, and make sure that you are satisfied in retrospect that you have got best value for money for council, and that's the position we are in today.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that explanation. I have another question, if I may. At that ARIC meeting, they seemed to, I don't know whether they fully understood that this council had no intention of selling this on the public market. They were asking for it to be put onto the public market to get that second quote. Was that what you explained to ARIC, that this was not a public sale of land? This was a a partnership deal that council has been working on since 2012, I think, was the date that was mentioned. I think it was even slightly before that. Was that ever explained to Eric adequately?
Through the chair, ARIC were well aware of not only the history of the sale, but ARIC were concerned about direct negotiations. The applicant to the purchase, even in hindsight, is the only credible applicant. I mean, if one was to take it to market now, we'd have to start again and disadvantage a local community club who have been in negotiations, rightly suggested, for 12 years. And it doesn't take us in any better position from a probity perspective. The issue was that when the offer was made and negotiations were conducted between the purchaser and council, that the rationale and discrete detail around direct negotiation wasn't recorded well enough. But there has been no allegation of any impropriety or otherwise in relation to those negotiations, only that we could have done it better and been more aligned to the ICAC guidelines that cover direct negotiations. And I will say, in that period, that's when council, and it predates me and many people in the room, in that period, council developed its direct negotiation policy, which it has in draft form.
So the direct negotiation policy came after the initiation of this project, is what you're telling us. I have one further question, and that is to the legal team. Is there any reason why council should not be considering this particular item in regards to the caretaker mode and the obligations upon council because of the caretaker mode that we are now in?
So through the chair, I'll refer to the General Counsel, but we are dealing with a rescission motion at the moment. Yes? Okay.
So I've specifically advised on this question as to whether the rescission motion could be brought forward to this meeting in caretaker mode. It's my view that it can, because what is before the council is a question of rescission. It is not the principal decision to sell, which is a decision that was made on an earlier occasion, prior to the caretaker period. So that's thing one. Thing two is assuming that, well, if the rescission fails and the original decision stands, we would nevertheless be bound not to enter into the contract during the caretaker period. So exchange of contracts wouldn't take place until the caretaker period had ended. Now, that's not to say we can't do work on the sale in the meantime. It's just that we wouldn't be exchanging contracts in a binding way during the caretaker period.
And one last question then, Mr Mayor. Is council totally satisfied that there has been communications to the community who have had the opportunity to be able to say if they agree or disagree about this sale of this property? And do we have any statistics on whether they were yes or whether they were no?
Thank you, Councillor. I don't think there's been a more consulted block of land or project in Liverpool's history. Now going back to this was started, I think, in 2009, 15 years ago. So there's been a lot of consultation about it. But I might, through the CEO, refer to the. I know stats have been provided to councillors previously, but I'm happy to hear them again if we can.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'll revert to the Director, Community and Lifestyles.
Thank you. Through the CEO, there's been a number of consultations about this land, but in particular leading up to the master plan and the getting the community's feel on what they would like to see within that precinct in Hammondville. Following that engagement, which happened at a family fun day as well as socials and surveys, etc., we came back to the community with a plan. After that and a decision was made, we came back to the community with the proposal to sell the land as well. The community have also had engagement around the plan of management around the particular precinct, and that is just the intensity of the last 18 months. But prior to that, there was a number of consultations with the community around Hammondville. Thank you.
I'm pretty sure there was a clear resolution that was, I think it was moved by Councillor Green, where there was VMS boards put up. There was a mail out done to tens of thousands of houses, which outlined the whole plan. So, yeah. And I think, councillors, we just had the lovely gentleman talking about the Miller Master Plan upgrading the Wendon Centre. Well, you know what? This is how you fund infrastructure. You sell old stuff and you build new stuff. We sold poles and wires and we built metro train lines, which was just opened up by a lot of fanfare by the New South Wales government. So if you want upgraded facilities, you have to make decisions that you may view as tough. I don't view this as a tough decision. So I think it's a straightforward, easy one. We had 15 years to think about it. And that's how you get infrastructure. So I strongly support that we continue on and don't vote for the rescission motion.
Just through the chair, who actually negotiated this deal from the staff? If you don't mind me asking.
The direct negotiation?
From the start, through the chair, from the start, I don't know. The deal was closed by the former CEO.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to speak against the rescission motion, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Deputy Mayor.
So I'm not going to rehash the rehashed that has been done so many times, but just to say that, it's disappointing. I know that we have a lot of material to read. I know that we have a lot of reports that come to us, but this is something that has particularly come to us on so many occasions. And I'm surprised at the imputation that the ARIC has not been satisfied by this entire process, because the report that came to us before the last meeting indicated that satisfaction had been met. And so, I just delaying this again and again. The community has spoken, the ARIC has been satisfied. We've done everything we needed to do. We are going to look at our processes, as we should always do, to make sure that we can be the best that we can be. The community wants this to happen. Let's stop holding them to ransom and get it done.
Any other speakers for or against? Nope. Okay. I will put the rescission motion. All those in favour of the rescission motion, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3. Those against? I declare the rescission motion lost. We're going to have a division?
Yes, please.
All those in favour of the rescission motion, please stand. Those against? Thank you. Yep.
Thank you. Through the chair, need to table an urgent confidential paper called Legal Proceedings. This is a paper that came to my attention at 9 o'clock this morning with the General Counsel, and I'm tabling it for this meeting today.
Right, I'll move that we just deal with that at the end of the meeting. Second, Deputy Mayor. All in favour? Against? Declare that carried. It's one that just came through earlier today.
Is it possible for the councillors to be given the...
Do they have it? Is it? Everyone has it. Great. Next item is planning and compliance plan 01. One second, hold on. Just going to make sure I've got the right items because to make sure this matches up, so bear with me for a moment. This works. It's page 97. This is run sheet is... Yeah, just one second. The run sheet is out, so I don't want to... People are online. I want to make sure they're carrying, but I just want to see if it does, if hopefully we'll match up afterwards.
Page 97, Mr Mayor.
Yep. So page 97 with the recommendation on page 97, and it's tab 1 of the booklet.
Mr Mayor.
Just one second. Councillor Harl, did you want to move? I think someone over there was going to second it. Was there no? Deputy Mayor second it. Councillor Harl, would you like to speak for your motion?
No.
Microphone, please. Thank you.
No, I'm happy with it as it is.
Yep. Yes, Councillor Rhodes.
Yes, Mr Mayor, on behalf of citizens that have spoken to me about this, the compliance enforcement policy, the thing that they're saying is that they have concerns on they understand that it has different levels of risks, and upon that you're basing the priorities as to when the matter...
Once I guess, point of order, Deputy Mayor. Just microphone, please, Councillor Rhodes.
We're not discussing the enforcement policy. It was already passed on July 24th. We're just revoking the old policy that was an oversight at that time.
This is my opportunity to Mr Mayor for me to raise concerns about the new enforcement policy.
We've passed the new enforcement policy.
Still, I have the right to be able to give the community's voice on this matter.
Councillor, I have to rule in favour of the Deputy Mayor in that this is, whilst we're talking about enforcement, doesn't mean you can talk about enforcement. We're talking about this particular policy that's there. You mean? So...
I realise that, Mr Mayor, but the community would like to voice their opinion about the new enforcement policy. Is that possible?
Yeah, through a motion of sort, because it's gone on exhibition. It's been discussed once, if not twice.
I'll let the constituents know that it was not possible. Thank you.
No, it was possible.
Not at this time. You're not permitting it.
Yeah, because we've passed it already.
Not permitting it, so that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, it is a technical matter that we're dealing with a procedural issue. Yes, Councillor Green.
When will the new policy be reviewed? Because that will be the ideal time. If there are problems that people are having still with that policy, that's when it can be put on the table. And if that policy then needs to be changed or tweaked or whatever, that would be the opportune time.
Yes, Councillor Green. Yeah, it would be in the actual policy itself that has a review date.
Perhaps a notice of motion or a question with notice about an upcoming report, a progress report or something like that would be appropriate and definitely the time.
Yep. Generally 2 years.
Would it be possible to move a motion then, Mr Mayor? Well, it's not urgent, but it is associated to this, and can we, in the recommendation that Council revokes the enforcement policy dated the 23rd of November 2022, have a point to that we receive a report back to a council meeting in February, okay, gives you plenty of time to assess how the enforcement policy is progressing.
I just think you can move that way, Councillor. Is there a seconder? Nope, it lapses. Sorry. Leave it for the new. All right. If there is any further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declare. In favour? Great. Okay, cool. I declare that unanimous. Next item is COM 01, tab 2, page 114, with the recommendation on page 114. Deputy Mayor?
Happy to move that way, Mr Mayor, and if I have a seconder, I'd like to ask some questions.
Yep. Seconded, Councillor Hadid. Yes, Councillor Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. There's absolutely no doubt about the value of the 2168 Children's Parliament, as we've been reminded again today. Every opportunity that we hear from these young people in our community, we're reminded of how important it is. My question is that also back in July 2023, we spoke about the importance of the 2168 Children's Parliament, and we resolved to, amongst other things, and I won't read out the entire resolution, subject to the availability of funding, begins implementation of the expansion of the 2168 Children's Parliament program to up to a further 10 schools across Liverpool. That motion was carried, and I'd just like to ask what's been done in that time. That's 13 months, and while it's still flourishing in that same area, what has happened in that 12 months' time or so to expand the program?
Through the Chair, Deputy, I don't know, but I'm going to revert to the Director of Community and Lifestyle.
Through the CEO, it was my understanding of that resolution that we didn't have the funding, but however, what we have done is 2 new programs, school leadership programs, which invites the whole LGA, all the schools in the LGA, both primary and high school, to come in and advocate on behalf of the council and the LGA. These forums have proven very beneficial, and we're getting a lot out of the children's and their voices in that and following through on their points of interest. In regards to that resolution itself, there was no funding attached to it, so it couldn't proceed to it for the expansion, but we've done other measures.
Can I perhaps add a point 3 then, even though we have already passed that that motion, with the indulgence of the seconder, that we continue to be on the lookout for funding. No, don't write it like that. Continue to investigate funding sources to allow for the expansion of this particular children's parliament. And that's all it needs to say, but definitely not to the detriment of the other programs that we've got in place as well. But I think, this children's parliament is incredible. So just continue to investigate other sources of funding to expand the program and report back briefly, every half year or so, just to let us know whether or not there's been any opportunities. Thank you.
Is the seconder happy with that? Yes, he is. Is there any further discussion? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against, I declare it carried. COM 07. There's a reason why we're going to COM 07 in addendum booklet. I'm not calling that one. I'll get back to. We'll get it back in order. Next item is COM 02, which is on page 119, the grants and donation community sponsorship report.
Seconded.
With the recommendation on page 119, moved Councillor Hadid, seconded Councillor Rhodes. Any discussion? I just want to ask a question on page 127, where it has the Mandaean Women's Union Australia Incorporated. It has amount requested $10,000, and then it has next to it amount requested $20,000. Just wondering if that's supposed to say total project cost, or... So, Councillor Rhodes, can you turn your microphone off, please?
Sorry.
Yes, the correct wording should have been amount requested to the left and total project cost to the right.
All right, lovely. Let me be clear about that.
Sorry.
Lovely. Any discussion? Nope. Nope. I'll just say note that it was very wonderful to see all the recipients of our grants program here only a few weeks ago. It's like the all-stars of the community, doing amazing work with amazing stories, and here we are again, very privileged to hear some more amazing stories. Was a total of $87,000 of community grants, which will have a massive impact. So yes, strongly recommend them. All right, if there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare that unanimous. Councillor Hara? Yeah, I'll take that, yes. Your hand was up, wasn't it? All right. Okay, next item is COM 03, page 132. Page 100, with the recognition of page 132, tab 4, moved. Councillor Green, seconded. Councillor Rhodes. Is there any discussion? I'd like to just add something, if possible, please, for the consideration, if the mover and the seconder, that we facilitate local authors with the ability of having their books in the library. And I said, like, I was approached by one recently, and they're like, because they don't go through the whole publishing house and all this sort of stuff, they're scrounging the money together to get it going. And I don't know much about this, but I was wondering if there was if we amend the policy to create a pathway for local authors to have their books. Yeah. Cool.
Mr.
So if the mover and seconder are happy with that?
Can I just ask a further question?
Yep.
I know that in regards to the publication of magazines, that the public libraries, they collect them and put them into their libraries to keep as a copy or an authentication that they were done. I got this information when I published the Your Liverpool lifestyle magazine. All those magazines were collected by the Public Library Association. Could it be done through that particular method, or would it be done through that particular method? I only know it about the Your Liverpool magazine and that it was collected.
I imagine they're talking about novels and things like that, Council Rhodes.
I'll refer that to the CEO.
Thanks. Through the chair, I'll refer that to the Director of Community and Lifestyles.
Through the CEO, that's quite a granular question. My library manager's here and she can answer the question. So, Alyssa, if you could come up and answer the question, please.
It's like a game of football.
There you go. Councillor, they are two different questions. The process that you're talking about is referred to as a legal deposit system, and we already support that, and we will continue to support that regarding anything that is produced locally automatically goes in and is purchased, collected, maintained and valued. When we're talking about generic magazines, generally published magazines, that is under a different system, but we would be very happy to support anything like that.
Thank you. I just needed to clarify which was the way that it would be collected. Yeah, no,
I think
no
Councillor
problem
Hara
with that
wanted
being
to
added.
say something, was he?
Yes. Look, I'm not sure if this is an opportunity to address this, but in the past, we've talked about books that are in the library that are, to put it bluntly, books that should not be available to young children. We've talked about this, and I've spoken to the librarian. What can we do? Unfortunately, the legal system is such that the federal government's, forget what you call that, censorship board has ruled those particular books to be available. Now, I know that Queensland in particular, there's a gentleman named Bernard Gaynor who has been very active in making sure those books are taken out of council's public library. Now, I raised the issue probably some 18 months ago, or not probably sometime this term, and several other councils, we were concerned about that. And I wrote to the librarian and asked, can we do anything about it? And sadly, because of the federal government's ruling, we can't, and I think New South Wales library regulations are similar in that we can't actually ban the books. So the compromise was that we make those books available only into an adult section. But this is something we're doing because we believe that maybe that should be done. Do we need to look at issues further than that? Should we look at what's actually happening in Queensland, in Logan in particular, or do we just let this go? Be mindful of the fact that there is another council that has got themselves into a lot of hot water over this issue. But I think if we're happy enough to just restrict those books to adults only section, I'm quite happy with that. Do we need to discuss this?
The question about do we need to discuss this is up to you. If you want to ask a question, we can get an answer for it. So if I put that down simply, what is the policy do with regards to age appropriate books, and where should they be placed in the library? Not about removing books in the library, but where should the library books be placed? And then therefore also is that who can hire then those books? So I think that's where the question is. I'll put that over to you, so I guess I'm happy to repeat the question if need be.
Through the chair, rather than passing the ball straight out the back line, I'll just ask the library representative to talk about where literature is kept and how we govern adult literature.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Hall. We have very specific legislation that guides us in how we manage our collections. And you have referenced Cumberland Council, which found itself in this situation. We pride ourselves, the library team that you have employed by council, we are professional library staff with qualifications in this area, and we are very mindful of creating, and which is reflected in the policy, creating a collection that reflects the community. And that includes all aspects of the community. So I think we try very hard to manage all of those differing viewpoints within the community. And it is a basic underpinning of the legislation that looks after libraries, that all viewpoints must be accessible to the community. But we are all, likewise, we are always very careful about how we manage those community sensitivities. It is a tricky line, and I would ask that you reflect on your experience in dealing with the team on how we manage that particular process. Does that answer your question?
I'm happy with the process that you've implemented. I have no problems with that at all. And I'm just curious, what I'm concerned about, if somebody challenges that, then what happens?
So can we... Well, Mr. Mayor, through the acting CEO, can we put all these books in locked area? If someone asks for it, you can provide it?
No, the legislation actually specifically says that that's a form of censorship. By putting things like literally under lock and key, that is a form of censorship. So we manage things in different ways, and we're guided by the Australian Classification Board is the only place that can make legal restrictions on material. That is the only place within Australian legislation. I'm sorry?
Microphone, please, Councillor.
Sorry. Well, the place is the library, and the book available in the library, but it's locked. If you go and ask for this book, we can provide it for you. It's still in the library. We are not going against the legislation.
No, that one is actually in the legislation, as that it is specifically highlighted that is a form of censorship. So that's not an option for us.
Well, Mr. Mayor, to be honest with you, politicians who put this legislation should go to bloody hell.
So
People want to see our society, your society. This is what they want.
Motion, Mr. Mayor.
once before, Councillor Deputy Mayor.
Can I, with the indulgence of the mover and seconder, maybe look at expanding point 3, although it may take budget, and so I'll need to have a question answered as well. I too have been approached by some amazing local authors, and one of the barriers that they come up against is that a lot of the material that they write is written in the language of their homeland. So doesn't make that. It makes it accessible to some people, but not everybody. And there's no need to translate all books. That's fine. But a lot of people have come to me, and numerous people have come to me and asked about the process of being able to facilitate a translation, because it's not simply put the book into Google Translate and get it out the other side. You lose everything. You lose the artistic side of that. So is there a way that we could allocate, and I'm possibly crossing over into the grants policy or something here, a way to facilitate the translation of the stories that are written in people's native language, if that's something that they would want to do? I know those words are not entirely correct, but so that we are a port of call for people to share their stories with the wider community and encourage that in our libraries.
That's a good it's a good point. So I guess how do we put it into there? I'll refer to the CEO.
There is a way that I might consider, that you might consider, is that council could offer a service of translation into other languages.
I believe it's quite a specialised art. It's not just a translation service.
No, exactly. But for council to do this for, books that people have produced themselves, you see, they could do that themselves if they wanted it translated into other languages. And it's
in the spirit of facilitating that, I just think that maybe we could ask a question.
Yeah, maybe I think you're probably might be right on with regards to just make it a grant. That's probably one of these. We'll keep it clean, but I'll hand over to the CEO.
So should that be raised as a separate motion?
Potentially, but I'll see what the CEO has to say.
Thank you. Through the chair, it may be an appropriate course that we investigate the cost of translation services. One of the things we should be mindful about is when a script is translated from one language to another, there may be issues that Muz here actually described that come up in that translation, and with all kinds of cultural inferences that may or may not be palatable to others. So I think if we investigate the cost of translation and we bring that back to council, that'll give us a better steer on what that might cost, because if it's we don't want to favour one author in
and
Yeah, we can have a look at the cost.
I think that's the way to go. Thank you for everybody helping to get it where it needs to be. But if we can investigate that, and then with that information, we can come to a motion maybe next time when we have that information. But yeah, I think there are definitely people in the community who have asked me about that kind of service. So that would be great if we could just investigate that. Thanks.
So I think point 4 then is receive a report.
Mr. Mayor, just a question, please.
Yes, it is a question. Is that?
No, I've got a question.
Oh, sorry. Just quickly, I won't hold you up, Councillor. Is that going to therefore not only be for these books that we're going to translate for people, but perhaps other books? And will we be translating from English books back into different languages? These are the issues that you would have to address in this concept that you've brought up. I think I congratulate you for thinking of it, but I think it needs a lot more thought about it. Otherwise, you're
Hence the report, which I'm sure the staff will cover in thorough detail and make reference to your points that you raised. Councillor Goodman?
Just microphone. The books that Councillor Hull and Councillor Hadid were referring to, is council forced to buy them, or is it by choice? Are we forced to have them in our library, or is it by choice that we choose to have them in our libraries?
No, I think you'll find that the censorship guidelines and the legislation mandates that we have all kinds of literature that's available within the standards.
I'm asking these specific books, do we have to have them in our libraries, or do we get them by choice?
Well, you have to actually give me the titles of each of the books, but I'll call up the manager of library services again.
Is it a choice or is it?
So, Councillor, the decision to include a book or not comes down to the basic premise of the policy, which is we will buy what the community wants. So, and that means all members of the community. So we have had cases where books that have been controversial have also been very popular and in high demand with the community. And in those cases, we purchase those books because that's the basic premise. We buy what the community wants. That doesn't mean we don't review things, and Councillor Hull will attest to this one. We have made decisions where we have purchased something and then on review decided that it didn't have a place within our collection. However, that basic premise that the collection will reflect the whole of the community and the community's interests and demands, that premise is what we base things on.
Thank you.
Can I just ask for just point 4? I'm just not super happy with the way it's written. To investigate a translation of books written in languages other than English. I think we might cover us a bit better there. Languages other than English. Thank you.
All right. If there's no further discussion, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against? I declare it carried.
Please, against.
Next item is COM 04. Hello.
167.
I'm happy to move with an amendment.
Moved. Page 167, COM 04, extension of community bus shuttle services with the recommendation on page 168. Yes, Deputy Mayor, moving.
Thank you. I just wanted to amend point 3 to say instructs the acting CEO to examine alternate operating models and strategies to increase passenger numbers and provide better value to council.
Right. Still happy to second it?
Yeah, they've seconded. Can we just add a little bit more in there, including the bus sizes? Okay. Or-
All right. Microphones, please, everyone. Councillor Rogers, if you can please turn off your microphone, that would be helpful.
I guess I'm speaking for the motion now. I think that it's really important service that we have. I think it's important that we use it as much as it is used as much as it can be, and that we get the best value for money. So, thank you. That's what I would like to see happen.
See the motion again, just to...
Increase patronage should be best again.
Because this has been discussed before, and one of the things that we said was to investigate different sizes in buses. And if that's been captured in Councillor McNaught's point, I'll be happy. Alternate operating models.
Can I just add a comment there? Just to put something, I'm aware that for some, it came to my attention the last time that was discussed that for people with a disability, the size of the bus matters. Smaller bus could be presents problems for some of the regular users who have a disability. So I think we need to be mindful of that.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I request a break?
Yeah, we'll have one in a moment. Sounds good. Okay. Seconded, Councillor Moon. Yes. Is everyone happy with the motion as presented on the screen? Can we vote? We're getting there. We can vote now. We'll vote. All right. Well, if there's no further discussion, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against, I declare it unanimous. Councillors, I'll now call a break till 4 p.m. Thank you. And we are now on COM 05, changes the community facilities, sporting hire policies. Deputy Mayor?
I'd like to move that we defer this matter, Mr. Mayor. If I get a seconder, I'll speak to the motion.
Seconded, Councillor
Can we have
Moon.
the reason first why we're deferring it?
I'll speak to the motion when it's...
Seconded, then yep. I'd like to defer this matter, and it was brought to us in briefly in a briefing session, and I thank staff for that, and I understand the reason for the policy needing to be updated. However, I'm concerned that there has not been, to this point, any stakeholder engagement, and there are significant changes that may happen with our current hirers. So I would like to defer until there is some stakeholder engagement in the process, because I don't think that I've had people representing to me that they didn't know that this was coming up, and I think that it's better to engage the community first rather than for them to find out when it goes out on public display without having been involved in the discussion in the first place.
I just have some clarity on that then, Mr. Mayor. Is this to put it out on public exhibition so that they can comment back on it?
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, we're talking about people who've been hiring facilities long term, and I don't think it's right that that is the first time that they have been, informed that this is going to happen. I think it will cause angst, and I think that we should involve the stakeholders before that happens. That's my concern. That's why I'd like it deferred, just for some stakeholder engagement.
So would it be possible for us to send it out for community engagement? Why not? Just send it out as the draft and ask for people's opinions. Isn't that a way to initiate the...
Look, to be fair, in reality, you're asking this council in its last meeting, and I probably should have said this with the library one as well, to put out a policy position, and then have an election in between, and then have a bunch of group of new councillors look at that, where they're the policymakers. The reality is, this and probably the library one should have been just deferred for the new council to deal with, as they may have completely different opinions of the world.
Through the chair also, Mr. Mayor, at the moment, consider yourself living in a house and someone says the next morning you wake up and there's a full lease sign on your property. How would that make you feel? That's how most of these people that are renting at the moment or hiring our facilities are going to feel if we just go out and put this out on public exhibition. So maybe talking to those tenants first, saying this is the process, that's what we need to do, and this is what needs to take place, prior to us putting it out to exhibition, I think is probably a wise idea.
Do you mean hirers? Not tenants, hirers.
So if you've been hired...
I guess...
Well, can I have another... Is somebody speaking on the...
My understanding is, well, you know, from the discussions that were at the briefing, which were we all at? I'm not quite sure, I can't recall who was there, is really also about, you know, fair and equitable access. And just because somebody or a group has had a lease or hired a particular area for a long time, does not necessarily mean that that is... that for that facility is theirs. That, you know, we have limited facilities. You know, it's like striking that balance. That's what I understood the spirit of this review is all about. But I might be wrong.
No. And I don't argue with you. That I was in that briefing session with you. You'll recall, and that is exactly what and that's why I thank staff for the briefing session. However, it remains that there are people who, and absolutely, just because you're a long-term hirer doesn't give you first dibs on anything. But you've got community groups who have invested in their programs that are run in these spaces on a long-term commitment that, you know, don't know that this is going on. I just think that there is no detriment in bringing people along the journey as early as possible. And also then that doesn't mean not opening it up for people who may also want to hire those spaces. I'm not just talking about one-way communication. I'm talking about stakeholder engagement, and stakeholders are not just current hirers.
Mr. Mayor, in view of all the comments around the room, I wonder if it would be possible, if you're worried about people that have currently hiring these facilities at the moment and this being a bit of a shock to them, rather than lose the time, would it be possible for us to change the motion to recommend that the draft report is sent to all the sporting facilities that currently hire or are engaged in any of the facilities, so that council might get their feedback on it? Because I think that's what the Councillor McNaught is asking for.
I think that's what it does say.
So we don't need to defer it. You can redirect it. You can redirect it to the people that you're concerned about, that all of a sudden this is a shock, they haven't been engaged in it yet. Let's not put it off. Let's send it to them. You'll get that feedback, and then it can be, a new report can come to council where you're considering what their opinions were before putting it out on public exhibition. Would that work?
That's not what I'm asking for. What I'm asking for is community involvement, not just and it's not just sporting groups, it's hirers of our halls, it's play groups, it's youth groups. There's lots and lots of different people who use our halls on a regular basis, and I would like them to be part of the conversation before it goes out to a general 28-day public exhibition.
Public exhibition is designed to do that. A public exhibition puts it out in that broader community that you're talking about. This is not approving it, or it doesn't have to. I don't think there's endorse involved in this. It's a matter of just approving it to go out onto public exhibition to all those people that you're so concerned about, so that we might get their feedback in and then consider what we should do with this policy in regards to their information that they supply back to us. That's what this is designed
So,
for.
so that's akin to you hire your house from your real estate agent and then they're going to put it up to lease, but they don't tell you first, they tell everybody else. I just want there to be engagement of people who are already in the spaces so that we don't have, like we have had in the past, where we go straight to community, straight out community engagement, where people panic and are worried and it brings stress onto them and they get stressed. They've only got 28 days to know about this. I would like to see people brought on the journey earlier than they have been by this motion, because it affects the programs that they run and deliver to the community the same way that it would affect new hirers who also want that space. And I understand the equity around the whole policy rewrite, but I'm mindful that there are people who've invested time and effort into the spaces that they're hiring, and I want them to be on the journey.
Thank you. Councillor Green.
Microphone.
I'm wondering if it may be helpful at this point, so we know exactly what we're dealing with, that we might hear from the director from the chair to the CEO to the director of communities, and then the person who is delegated this on what the process has been thus far. Where are we at, and where is it going?
Okay, through the chair, I just want to bring council's attention to the bottom of page 176. It says that the current policy framework is cumbersome and complex, and what we're trying to do here is improve the governance framework. Okay, and only these following two changes are recommended in the governance framework: a policy, we don't have one, and an establishment of a sporting grounds hire policy. So we don't have a community facility hire policy that defines the intended purposes now, okay? And we need to make that consistent when we apply that to sporting grounds and passive parks. But I'll revert to the director.
Thank you. Through the chair, I understand the sentiments of the council and can comment. The process, I just guess there's two different processes. There's a policy position in which we're seeking here so that we can start the process of consultation. Now, hearing the sentiments of the councillors, it might be wise that we could put in the resolution that we engage with our sporting groups and community hirers in the first instance, then roll out to broader community consultation. Concurrently, there's a process which I think was getting a bit confused in this discussion, is around the EOI for the rehiring of the community facilities. That is a separate process which we intend to run starting October, which will run over a period of 3 months, which was concurrently to this policy, and a decision won't be made we're looking at December to January next year when we bring this back to council for the final endorsement. So there's quite a lengthy process of this. This is just a starting position around the seeking the way we seek hirers. It's not substantially different. It's just more streamlined and rigorous in regards to understanding council's position. If that helps in clarifying some of those matters.
So Councillor McNaught would agree. We take out proceed to 28-day public exhibition and include as point 5 that we engage with all sporting facilities, all sporting clubs, and send it to them for comment and make them know that we need their comment back on this to see whether we've got it right from that point of view for a start, before it goes out on public exhibition. Would that be acceptable?
I'm worried that, we've just heard from the director that we're also about to launch into an EOI for new hiring and sporting clubs and things, and I don't want to be the one who comes back and says, 48 people have contacted me scared that this is going to happen. Now I just don't think that we're in a position. I think that we need to engage those hirers first and let them know what we are planning to do, why we're planning to do it. So I would not want any general public release of this kind of policy until everybody has been engaged, all of those groups.
So if we could make point 5, we cross out proceed to 28 days public exhibition, and make point 5 that council engages with the sporting fields and sporting clubs.
Just a moment there.
And if I may, Mr. Mayor,
one second.
speaking.
The motion is to defer the motion. That's the substantial motion that we're discussing. Should you want to start amending the recommendation, then you would need to move that as a foreshadowed motion.
I was trying to give Councillor McNaught the opportunity to include it. Okay, well then I'll put up a foreshadowed motion.
All right, so so the motion is the deferral and the foreshadowed motion is the recommendation. Do you have a second?
It is not the recommendation.
With some amendments to it.
With the amendments, which would be to engage with the sporting people who are hiring the facilities at the moment so that they are aware. And I'd put in another point that Councillor McNaught brought up, which was a good point. Another point.
Councillor Rhodes,
the other point would be...
Can we just talk a little bit slower because we have amazing typists,
Okay,
but I don't think she's that fast. So if we just go to
point 5, which
point
is...
5 and just speak very slowly.
Is to change it to council engage with the people who are currently the lessees of the properties at the moment and the sporting clubs that they represent. And another point, which is that council does not release the... What was it that we're going to do next?
The EOI was not going to be released into October, if that's what...
Release the EOI until we have an adopted policy, and that would do it. And you're moving ahead. We're not wasting time. So that's the foreshadowed motion.
I have a question on that. If that was, has that's been seconded so we can talk about it?
1 second. Do we have a seconder? Yes. Seconded, Councillor Green.
Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Green. So we don't put out the EOIs until after we have an adopted policy. So how long would it take after you have stakeholder engagement followed by a 28-day comment, and then to come back, and then a new council, and then I just want a timeline on how long. And do you think, best case scenario, that we would have an endorsed policy?
Thank you. Through the CEO, if we to do that, we'll come back in October after we've consulted with the community groups and sporting groups, with a view to then go out to public exhibition, which will then take us out to December. The challenge we have is around the hiring agreements, which are now completed in December. We can roll them over, but I would have to refer to my general counsel if we are able to roll over the lease agreements for a couple of months while we finalise this process.
I don't want to put through a bad policy because of that.
One sec, Councillor Hadid.
Just in response to the question raised by the director, I'd have to look at the agreements.
All right, thank you. Councillor Hadid.
Yeah, well, look, Mr. Mayor, look, I don't mind to defer this item to get the right of policy in this regard. And I want to see the policy include the long-term lease, but not on full-time basis. Because as you know, we have a lot of demand from community organizations, sports, bodies, requesting, the use of our facilities. And long-term, yeah, that's fine. It's no problem. Long-term, like a couple of days, 3 days. So in order to accommodate smaller organizations, you know what I mean? So if this is the idea of deferring this item to get the policy right, I don't mind it at all. But this one I want to see, to be honest with you. Every day I receive requests from community organization asking for facilities, council facilities, So I don't know how we can accommodate all of them. If we going to lease a property on full-time basis, absolutely some organization will be missed out. So what we have to do, long-term lease, that's fine, but a couple of days, 3 days at the best, in order to accommodate other organizations. Thank you.
I have a question then, pursuant to the good discussion. If we do defer this, would we be sending out an EOI as it falls into place before we present the policy? And is that the right thing to do? Because the constituents might be equally concerned that they're not being given the full picture.
Question to the CEO.
Yep.
Turn yourself off, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'll revert to Director of Community and Lifestyle again.
Councillors, we have gone to EOI within the current policy. We can do that. This just seeks to make it more streamlined and more informative for the council, for the groups. But again, we can seek feedback from those groups. But yes, to your question, is we can proceed with EOI on the existing policy, which if we are looking at the time frame and being to the letter of the law, we need to proceed with the EOIs as we have every other time.
So would the recommendation be that we defer the adoption of this policy or whatever we're doing with this policy until the community has been consulted, and that's it?
Well, there's a deferral and there's a motion. There's a recommendation with some amendments.
Well, I wasn't permitted those amendments, but that's why
you were.
That's why you made me put up a foreshadowed motion.
No, you were permitted them.
Oh,
But
well,
you can't add that it was substantially different than a deferral. That's why.
No, it was still putting
motion.
conditions on the deferral. That's what started this nonsense. So if the councillor
This is not
willing to...
nonsense, councillor.
If Councillor McNaught is willing to accept the amendment, that we defer it until we've got this policy consulted with the community, would you be willing to accept that amendment?
That's exactly what I've asked. Sorry, I don't have the microphone.
This is exactly what I've asked for, is to defer this until we have stakeholder engagement done. Until we have stakeholder engagement, we can add that on to the end of it, which I said. Well, that would have been...
So, but can we deal with the motion and the shadow?
We're done. I assume that was your right of reply?
I'm happy with that. If the councillor is willing to accept the another...
That's all right. We'll just vote on it.
All those in favour
No,
of
that we've got an amendment that isn't up there on the...
the second? It's on
Is
there.
it?
Watch the screen, not the microphone.
Well,
You'll
I
see
can't
it there.
see it, it's not there.
Or just moved.
Can it come back down again?
Up, other way, please. It's there, councillor. Mover is happy with it. The seconder is happy with it. We've had the right of reply. I'll now put the motion for deferral. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against? And
The
declare-
foreshadowed
declare.
was taken out, thank you. No, why? We got what we wanted in the first place. Could have gone through a lot quicker.
No, you weren't stopped from making an amendment, councillor. You need to be a little bit more succinct with what you want to say. You know what I mean? Right? It's a bit more succinct. I know this is our last meeting and we want to, not many people are going to hear us after this, and you know, but it's all right. All right, that's COM 05 gone. COM 06, let me just see. COM. Cool. All right. COM 06, page 212, tab 7. Well, I don't know
Happy
what
to
tab
move that way.
Tab 6? Is it tab 6? Is it tab 6 or tab 7? Does everyone have the same thing? Or it's what tab? What tab do you have?
Oh, 7.
Tab 7. Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Tab 7.
Happy to move that way.
Move Councillor Rose, seconded Councillor Harle. Any discussion? I'll put them. Yes, Councillor Goodman.
It says that they're getting the Liverpool club grants. When are they getting that, and have they already received it?
I'll refer to the CEO.
Through the chair, thank you for the question, councillor. I'll revert to the Director of Lifestyles and Community.
Thank you. Through the chair, the council have been notified they were successful, and I will revert to Jackie Newson, our community development coordinator, who can tell you where the status of it is in regards to its processing. But I can assure you that the reason we wrote the report is to notify councillors that they will be receiving that funding.
Thank you, Tina. Through the CEO, the club grants process is all coordinated between the club and the club recipient. So any the payment of the grant from Club Liverpool to Meals on Wheels will be processed directly between them. So in terms of timeline, I can't advise other than to say that they've been approved and contacted by Club Liverpool.
So they haven't received the funds. They are a fantastic organisation of regional importance to vulnerable community members. In consultation with them, 2 ovens will do great for them. They can expand their operation and they can feed more people in Liverpool. So I move to actually still stand on the existing motion.
Do you have a seconder for that? Seconder, Councillor Moon. Yep.
Can I just ask a question? We've spent the last 25 minutes talking about consultation. Has the organisation been consulted about
A second up.
I think that's what Councillor Goodman said. But
Who?
The organisation that...
sorry, thank you. Please, microphones to the chair.
It says the council agreed not to implement the resolution.
Well, just if everyone holds their horses, so the exact motion is that was moved, that the original motion to be endorsed. Yeah, that does the job. That's this. Okay, and that's moved, seconded. Yes. Okay, wonderful. Now that would be a foreshadowed motion. Yes, I'll take it for it rather than amendment. It's substantially different. Okay, Councillor Goodman, would you like to speak for your motion?
Sorry, my
Yeah, I'm just going to make sure. I'm going to tie this up a bit tighter and make sure. Right?
All right. So I'm moving the foreshadowed motion.
Correct.
I've already spoke with it.
Oh, yeah, sorry. We shouldn't. Sorry, my apologies. You shouldn't be speaking for your foreshadowed motion because we're not dealing with it. So you got to speak against the original motion. My apologies. So we're dealing with the substantive motion, which is the one moved by Councillor Rhodes,
and seconded by Councillor Harl. But just mindful, do you still want to second that original motion, Councillor Harl? You want to withdraw the seconding? All right, Councillor, I'll withdraw the seconder. Is someone else who wants to second that?
My question still hasn't been answered. So
Yeah, I'm just cleaning up. It's one moment, Councillor. Would somebody like to second the motion, which is moved by Councillor Rhodes, which is to withdraw the funding? Yeah, the recommendation in the booklet. Microphone, please.
I will.
Yep, okay. Seconded Councillor Green. Moved
Yep.
Councillor Rhodes, seconded Green. Councillor Rhodes, did you want to speak for your motion?
Well, I'm happy to.
Well, Mr. Mayor, they have to put in for another grant.
Yes.
So you'd have to change your goddamn motion a little bit because they've already received money for that, what they were asking for.
All right. Councillor Calienda, you had questions?
So my question is, if the recommendation was that we withdraw the resolution from July because the organisation is getting the grant through the club grant scheme, and the foreshadowed motion on the table is that we continue that funding allocation, what are they going to spend it on? Because if
I think
So the question is, what are they going to, if they're already getting a combi oven from the club grants,
Yes.
what are they going to spend this money on? And the answer is another combi oven.
But in that,
Sorry, Councillor Cash.
This motion originally was ruled urgent. This is 2 months later we're talking about it. Why wasn't this processed 2 days after the motion was moved? If it was
I'll
moved
refer that to the CEO.
we could have moved it this meeting.
I'll seek some clarification on that from the Director of Community and Lifestyle.
Through the CEO, councillors, we immediately checked our system because on the evening of that council meeting, it was notified that the club had received a club grant. I spoke to the one of the organisers myself at the Community for Grants program and advised him of that. He wasn't notified by the club. We've got my hands were tied, so we followed that through with us. So we've done all our due diligence in making sure that the club were informed, Meals on Wheels were informed. I also point out that Como 2 has endorsed Meals on Wheels for another project of 10,000 today, and we are happy to facilitate the 32,000 if council wishes, and that will come out of general funds outside of the grants program if that's the position that council wishes to take. We just felt it was our due diligence to let you know that they had received the grant.
So that it raises questions. It raises questions in terms of how council disperses funding. If the need is for a second oven, then it would be there's no paper trail. There's nothing. There's no application to say this is what we're doing. This is why we need it. The same as any other organisation. I'm just concerned that that we're being asked to really be handing out money, and it's like, is that actually what we should be doing? Our legal obligation in terms of the grants process in applying like everybody else, fixing the right criteria like everybody else, or what does it take? You're an organisation, you want something, you go to a councillor, they put up an urgency motion and you get money. I mean, it can't be one thing for one group and a different process for everybody else. I think this is a dangerous.
Point of order there.
Yes, Councillor Moon, what's your point of order?
Well, there's no different kettle of fish for one councillor to another. That's number one. That's number one. Number two, when this motion was put up, we were advised by the community Meals on Wheels that their oven is actually broken down or about to break down, and they needed the funding straight away. Only to realise 2 months later that we have failed them once again and not given them their money.
So just ruling on the pointing over, I have to rule in Councillor Moon's favour. Any councillor can put a legal motion to the floor of council. You're implying that they're not legal motions, and it was a legal motion and it's passed properly.
I'm not implying that it was not
You said
a legal motion. What I'm saying is...
Yeah, sorry. Councillor Rhodes, can you put your microphone off, please? You said that...
What I'm saying is that there are two distinct processes that are being demonstrated on the floor. That there's one where people go through a grants process where they fill in a form, they fit the criteria, and then there's another process that seems to be that it comes through on a motion, and it's like
which is completely legal, and it's up to a resolution of council if they want to help Meals on Wheels, a charity organisation that needed emergency help. But
Mr. Mayor, before we moved the urgency motion, we asked, is there a grant that they can apply for? And the answer was no, there is no grant. That's the reason we moved the urgency motion for them. And if you're implying that they're using the money for something else, that's what you said. That's what you said. That is what you said. I'm not withdrawing anything. That is what you said. You just asked, have we got paperwork to see what they're buying? Go and ask them if they've got paperwork to see what they're buying.
I don't think that is the issue. May I speak?
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Rhodes.
I think it's just a system of following a procedure. We accept the fact.
Yep.
We accept the. We
One
accept
sec.
the.
Thank you, councillors. Thank you, councillors.
I'm speaking.
Thank you.
I'm speaking.
Councillors, can you please
I have a point of order.
turn off your microphones? One moment. Yes, Councillor Caliendo, what's your point of order?
Could you please direct remarks through the chair? Because we're getting into a slagging match here, and I think that's highly inappropriate.
Yes, thank you, Councillor. And Councillor Caliendo is right. Right? So...
I was speaking, Mr Mayor.
Yes, you were speaking.
Thank you. So,
and can I ask you, Councillor Rhodes, to direct your question, to direct your speaking through the chair, please, and to be succinct in your points.
All that we are saying, so I'll say it very slowly for you, is that what we have to do is accept that the donation that we were going to give is no longer what we are going to do because they've already got lined that up through another grant system. But what we should be saying to them, you're quite welcome to put in for another grant. Just apply for another grant. That way our paperwork is in order. That is what we're saying. Due process, Mr Mayor, that is the difference of what we're saying.
Thank you, Councillor Rhodes. And as Councillor Goodman highlighted, when this was discussed last time, he was advised, and we were all advised, there is no grant that covers this. Councillor Hadid?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, look, it's very simple, and it's very...
Thank you. Councillor Hadid has the floor, please.
It's very simple. Last meeting, when Councillor Mill moved the motion in this regard, the question asked if there is any process this organization has to follow. The answer comes back, well, no. No. So that's why he moved a motion of urgency, asking the council to give him $32,000 to buy what they need. And the council approved it, despite there is no process to put an application for that one. So I don't understand what we're arguing about now. If there is no process to put, an application, now where you can put an application, and despite all of that, the council approved the amount of $32,000 for Liverpool Meals on Wheels. So I think this is the end of the story. We can't go back and say, well, we didn't follow the process, he didn't put an application. Well, already the questions asked and the answer received. So now it's up to you guys to vote in favor or say no. I'm asking you, Mr. Mayor, to put the motion.
Hold on.
Yes, Councillor Caliendo.
There seems to be two very different narratives happening at the moment. So, I understand that there was an impression that there was not an appropriate grants process or grant scheme, that could have, addressed the concerns of Meals on Wheels. Therefore, there was a resolution from the floor of council, which is why 32,000 was approved. We've since found out that they are receiving that money. Sure. Am I okay to?
No, mate.
Hey, come on. Microphone off, please.
It was the lolly.
We've since found out that that funding was approved by the club grants process. So Meals on Wheels will get that funding through the club grants process, which is why there's a resolution or there's a recommendation to withdraw that resolution of council. So the question still stands. If this additional funding is put on top of the grant that was received, that then becomes a $64,000 commitment. So if you've got the club grant and then you've got the funding approved by council, plus an additional $10,000 that was just approved in the resolution that we've passed, that brings up the total to $74,000. There is very little information. If we're moving this from the floor of council at the moment, there's very little information about what that funding will be used for. I hear Councillor Goodman's comment that it will be for an additional oven, but there is no clarity on that. And I think being asked to make a decision of spending approximately $32,000 at this point without an idea of what that's going to be utilised for, information about whether the organisation has been consulted and how that will come back to council is to use Councillor Rhodes' words, not quite due process. So I appreciate, I don't think anyone here disagrees with the value that Meals on Wheels brings to our community. They're an extraordinary organisation. They do a lot of good, but the point here is around process, and there are two very different narratives going on. So can we please get some clarification about what that's...
Okay, so if I can summarise that, Councillor Callahan, and thank you. So you're talking about the process, the procedure. Pardon? So the procedure.
The procedure, and also...
Yeah. And the procedure should be fair.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
Because if, for example, the main reason why this came through as an urgency motion was the organisation said, without this additional funding, we won't be able to provide services.
Oh, yeah.
I think we all agreed at that point. The services that they provide are too important to allow them to continue without that additional funding. So the additional funding was approved. Club grants have now come through and said, they're willing. They can fund that project.
I'm just trying to summarise. So ultimately, saying is it's about having a fair procedure, right?
But also
in the way of applying, i.e., procedural fairness. It's an important thing.
Yes, but also clarity in terms of what we're actually voting for, on the funding
for. So to be clear, Council. So to be clear, there were discussions regarding about having the need for another combi oven. And from my understanding, the needs on their services are growing rapidly with all the cost of living pressures, the aging demographics, and the community they serve. They're struggling. Yeah? And the reality is someone is going to have to come out with a lot more money soon to actually help them if we want to maintain that service within the area. So, yes. All right, so you've spoke. So are we clear that's what that's... So you can put a restriction on that. Well, the motion itself, the original motion... It says, provide up to $32,000 from general funds to the City of Liverpool Meals on Wheels upon receipt of a detailed quote for the purchase and installation of a combi oven associated ancillary equipment. So that's what if we adopt, that's the same thing. So I think, Councillor, that's pretty clear. Is that what it is?
So can I ask a question? Is it clear that they have said that they need a second oven? I'm just imagining. Yep. I've been in up to Meals on Wheels. I've been in the kitchen in terms of the capacity within the kitchen to accommodate two ovens. That's another question that I have, and it's like if there was something in front of me that was along those lines, and that's fine. But if there's not capacity within the kitchen to accommodate a second oven. It's not about...
Well, they could be potentially not have a home very soon if they're going to... don't they have to retender for it? They're going to have to retender for their premises very soon.
Mr Mayor, would it be possible for Meals on Wheels to provide a letter to council explaining this? That would be very helpful.
The actual motion says.
Yeah, the motion is clear what it's for. And if they turn around and say, well, we don't need a combi oven, then they don't need the combi oven. They don't get it.
So we need a motion, we need a letter saying we need a second oven. That's what we need. Can you provide that?
No, we didn't request a letter for the first one.
Yeah, and I think, yeah.
So that was an urgency motion.
I think the discussion has happened. I just want to go back now. Where are we? Okay, so the recommendation we have moved by Councillor Rhodes and Councillor Green. Councillor Rhodes, would you like your right of reply on your motion?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr Mayor. First of all, I must apologise because I didn't realise that it was a donation and not a grant. Thank you. I would like to change my motion if I can, or the new motion be adopted, that we just ask for the Liverpool Meals on Wheels.
Sorry, Councillor Rhodes. It's a bit late in the piece to change the motion. You're doing a right of reply.
Sorry?
You're doing a right of reply. Do you want to have another debate? It's a right of reply.
I give up.
I'll do what I like. We've been discussing this matter for 15 odd minutes, I would say, and you're doing a right of reply, and you want to change the motion.
Yes, I want to change the motion because the thing that is missing, that council will not accept, is that we just simply need a letter from them so that there is a paper trail which would be due process, and then the good councillor, Mr Goodman, can bring it up again as a motion and it would go through because we've done the process. We've closed this one.
Yeah, 1 second.
Just a minute. Councillor, sorry, Mr Mayor, Councillor Rood. So, can you accept the Council United 2000 for the Meal on the Wheels and asking Meal on the Wheels to provide the council with all the invoices and the document and how they spend the money?
Mr. Mayor, it's in the...
It's donations. There is no process for application.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Hadid. I've got to bring this to a head. Councillor Rhodes, it says that in the booklet that there is it says the original motion was upon receipt of a detailed quote.
It's in there.
So it's documentation that's associated with it.
You give him the money, but
which is already there.
It's in there. That's what we had written at the start.
We now need a second oven. That's what the good council is asking for. A second oven. Okay, so if we could just have with council paperwork, I think that would clear up the matter. Nobody is objecting to give them the money. What we are objecting to is that the process is getting very murky. Just ask them for a letter and they will get the money.
Yes, Councillor Moon.
Process being very murky. What does that mean, Councillor?
We have to show that council is following a due process. We're not giving them money to buy an oven because they've already got it.
They don't have the money for the oven yet.
Well, they're going to be getting it.
The point...
Going to be getting it. What we're providing
thank you. Everyone
is
through the
money
chair.
for a
Everyone
second.
through the chair, please. All right. The point of what Councillor Rhodes, after rule in favour, Councillor Moon, you're casting dispersions on council, but with that terminology. There was a resolution passed by council that is lawful.
Nobody's questioning that.
Yeah, but using the term murky you said murky, and that's the point of order is. So I have to rule in Councillor Moon's favour.
The murky, as I explained, was that we just followed due process.
Okay, lovely. Yeah, and process
was followed.
All right, thank you, everyone. You've had your right of reply, Councillor Rhodes. We'll now put the motion. If the motion is not successful, then we'll go for the other.
I withdraw the foreshadowed motion.
You don't have a foreshadowed motion. You have a motion.
Oh.
Your motion is the motion.
The foreshadowed motion can become the motion. I withdraw my motion to follow the book.
Okay.
So it's gone. We're dealing with the foreshadowed motion, which now becomes the motion.
Thank
Please
you.
put it to vote.
Yeah. Councillor Goodman has an opportunity now to speak for his motion. Should he? No, nothing to speak? All right. All right, well, I'll now put the motion as moved by Councillor Goodman. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against? Unanimous? Oh.
Unanimous. To try and make this council follow due process. I just gave...
Point of order.
Just gave...
We followed
Point
Councillor...
of order.
Yes, Councillor Moon, what's your point of order?
We always follow process.
Yeah.
Councillor?
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor.
Yeah, and Councillor Rhodes, I would strongly advise to that I have to rule in favour of Councillor Moon, that we follow process, and the process has been followed. Council can resolve that, and I don't intend to remind you about that any further. All right, next item is now COM 07, which is an addendum booklet. Alcohol-free zone, continue alcohol-free zones.
Happy to move that way.
Just let's find the booklet first, please. Book 3. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I don't have book 3.
Do we have a book 3?
Yeah, no,
Little pink one? No.
I think it's purple.
I don't have a copy of it.
It's up. Can you pass one over?
There's one.
Okay. We got one, David.
Thank you. Just a moment. Moved Councillor Rhodes, seconded Councillor Green. Any discussion? Thank you, Councillor Green. I appreciate your enthusiasm, but councillors may want to discuss this. All right. So page 3 of the addendum booklet, which is this one here. Purple one, with recommendation on page 3. If there's no discussion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declare it unanimous. Okay. So that was 3. No, that was 7, sorry. That was 7. COM 8, which is in the same booklet, which is page 7, COM 08.
And happy to move that way again, Mr. Mayor.
Can I just move seconder? Would you like to speak for your motion?
I'm happy with the explanation in the book.
Can I just ask through the CEO, is this should this be suspension of the alcohol-free zones happen during all our events to give staff the flexibility rather than happen on a one-off basis?
Yes. Sorry, through the chair, yes. I was bitterly disappointed at Eurofest. When I went to the bar, there was no bar.
Councillors, through the CEO, we have to do it per event. Following some legal advice, I'll bring each event that requires an exemption for a bar. A couple of months prior to that event, I'll bring that report to council. We can't do it as a singular exemption, which is what we were seeking originally, based on the advice from legal and governance. But this is the starting point, and you'll see many of these come through for the embellishment of our wonderful events.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Any further discussion?
Mayor, to continue of the existing one, and COM 08, to suspend the AFZ.
Just for that little bit.
Mate, well,
For the event.
only for the event.
Hence why it's a suspension. That's why it's suspension. Anyway, well, it's convenient that they're right next to each other, so they can read very easily. All right?
So why why for only this specific event? Why you don't freeze it for the all event?
I think we probably don't want to have many people drinking down in the mall. I think that's one of the issues.
Well, every event people like to drink. Every event.
Yeah.
Tina just said that you can't do it all at once. You have to do it each time. You're not allowed to do it all in one go for all of them.
Through
the chair, please.
Sorry, through the chair, Councillor, we must do it for each event. That's our legal advice. You can't have a blanket suspension of an alcohol-free zone. You must identify the event, the time frames, the location, and specifically ask under, particularly important for the Liquor Act and liquor legislation, to make sure we're all responsible drinkers.
If there is no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. All right. So that little book is now gone. Thank you. In the booklet? No, is there another one in it? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just hold it for later, because we can come back to it.
Okay. All right, so 6 is done, 7 is done, 8 is done. We'll move back into the original booklet, which is book 1A, the purple one, big purple one. Corp 01 investment report, page 214, tab 8, with the recommendation on page 215. Moved Councillor Harrell, seconded Councillor Rhodes. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Next item is page 224, CFD01, Biannual Progress Report, June 2024, and the recommendation is on page 224. Move Deputy Mayor. Seconded Councillor Amoon. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to congratulate staff. It was a really thorough report that came to us, and very happy to see all those green circles. So well done. Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? Any questions about the report? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare carried. All right, that book is done now. Book 1B.
Also purple.
Also purple and big. 1B. All right. Operations report. Operations 01, Harris Creek flood study, page 265, with the recommendation on page 266.
Happy to second.
Moved Councillor Harrell, seconded Deputy Mayor. Is there any discussion?
I'd just like to thank staff for the briefing that we received on the report and the, the community consultation that will go along with this release. So thank you.
Same here. I'd like to congratulate the officer responsible for that. In the past, we've had some major issues with flooding, and I remember we had the Wianamata Creek study, and despite the major efforts that was put in by those officers, unfortunately we moved against it, and that's regrettable. But this particular one, I'm very happy to vote for it. Thank you.
I just had a question on page 418. Was anyone able to read? Well, why don't we put an emergency motion that the next council only has our paper free and use their iPads?
Mr. Mayor,
because I tell you what, they're fantastic when they.
I believe that we had a resolution to move into this building paper free.
Did we? Oh, that might be interesting to pull up. It'd be fantastic. My kids hid my iPad from me today, hence I don't have it, and that has not helped. But it's very efficient, and you can really see the numbers. All right. If there's no further questions on Operation 01, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Okay. Operation 02, SES relocation.
Just through the chair, Section 393B, the Local Government Act, prohibits council today entering a contract or undertaking involving expenditure or receipt by a council of an amount equal to or greater than 150,000. So it's required that we defer this report.
Do you need a movement for deferral?
Moved. So page, let me just get this right, page 503, Operation 02, with the recommendation on page 503. The matter is moved that it be deferred. Deputy Mayor, seconded Councillor Harrell. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. The next item is Operations 03.
Thank you. Through the chair.
Let me just call the page. Page 511 to 23-24 Capital Works carryover of projects with the recommendation on page 511.
Thank you. Through the chair, this report talks about a budget of $24,293,000. Section 393 of the Local Government Regulation prevents council from exercising or entering into a contract involving expenditure or receipt by a council of amount equal to or greater than 150,000. So it's recommended this matter should be deferred.
Move Councillor Road, seconded Councillor Goodman. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. All right. So we now move into committee reports. The Traffic Committee has a different... So we can move everyone except for the Traffic Committee. We'll do that one individually.
Second that.
Moved. Councillor Hadid. Hold on. Councillor Rhodes, microphone, please.
Sorry, through the chair, CTTE 03. Oh, sorry, Local Traffic Committee, you're not going to matter with that?
Yeah, we'll pull that one out.
Sorry.
All right, so we'll deal with every committee except for the Traffic Committee. Move Councillor Hadid, seconded Councillor Rhodes. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. The Traffic Committee, I'll refer to the CEO on that. I think it's page 530. I don't know what page it is.
Thank you. Through the chair, Section 393B, the Local Government Act, prohibits council today from entering a contract or undertaking involving expenditure by a council of amount equal to or greater than $150,000, and I recommend we withdraw this report.
So are we, just one sec. No, not withdraw. We have there's an amended recommendation, which is on the screen. And I think this is the one that's just been handed to me. So we would I'll go through it very quickly. Middleton Grange Town Centre approves installation of traffic facilities, including signs and landmarkings indicated in the attachment. Subject community consultation, Transport for New South Wales. Item 2, Sandling Street, Hinchinbrook, traffic calming device, approves installation. Item 3, Ascot Drive, Chipping Norton, approves installation of a chicane Ascot Drive, that's the attachment. Casula Shopping Centre, high pedestrian activity, approves installation of asphalt speed humps across section at the common boundary of houses 23 and 31. Ed Park Tavern, approves installation of traffic including signs and landmarks shown in the attachment, detailed design prior to installation. Can I just ask some questions about that one, please? Through the CEO, there are issues with, I understand, the neighbours and what's happening in that area, and I think it's going to court. Can we just get an update of where that's at, and does this have any relation to that? Is that item 5? It's item 5, yes.
Thank you. Just microphone. Thank you. Through the chair, revert to the Director of Planning and Compliance.
Through the acting CEO, I'd have to take that on notice to confirm the exact correlation between these works and the court matter.
Is there any issue then if we defer that?
I'll revert to Patrick, Coordinator of Traffic and Transport, to provide some comment.
Just press the button, Pat.
Through the chair. With this development, they've got basically two components. So one is the matter that's being dealt with in the court, and additionally there is the requirement for them to provide the signage and line marking plan around their development. So the two are unrelated at this stage.
What do you mean by unrelated at this stage?
Well, there will be a secondary signage and line marking plan that deals with the components being addressed as part of the court matter. So this one is, I guess, a stage one for those signage and line marking that is required.
Is there any effect if we defer until there's clarification from the court?
Well, this matter does follow on with their stage one, which is, as my understanding, is currently approved. So for them to progress to their occupation certificate, they do require this one. I'd have to confirm on the timing of their occupation certificate to advise if it can be deferred or not.
Yeah, look, I'd prefer if we deferred this one, please. Next one is Hill Road. Proposed median island extension, approves that. Lismore Street, that's all done. Can we just get a quick update on Lismore Street? That's another sign. The sign is there. Maybe I just want to hang out there for a little bit. No, there's the flashing sign, the VMS sign. Yeah.
Through the chair. So there are some VMS signs out there currently which are advising that there will be some changes to the restrictions. We have been advised that the fixed signage, which will be placed directly at Lismore Street, should be in place by the end of next week.
Through the chair, can I just ask, through the chair, just a quick update on the closure of Grove Street, Casula as well. Back in June of this year, this council approved the closure as per recommendation from the traffic committee. We were advised it will take up to 8 weeks. However, nothing's happened yet. I drove through there today.
Through the chair, I'll have to take that one on and provide an update later.
Starry Night, items of delegated authority. We got the alcohol-free zones, that's done, and 15th Avenue and Craig Ave, that's deferred. And so is it also why are those two being deferred? Because yeah.
Through the acting CEO, we've decided to defer those two based on priority to ensure that the overall aggregate cost doesn't exceed the 150. So it was a difficult decision, but we had to make a decision to take out two. And Patrick may comment, I'm not sure on the cost of works, but that might be another issue.
Yeah. So is that just to confirm though? Has the traffic committee approved the installation of a roundabout on the 15th and Craig?
Through the chair, yes. So the traffic committee has supported the installation, subject to Transport for New South Wales approving the detailed design.
Yep.
Part of the reason why we chose to defer this item is those discussions with Transport may take a little bit longer than assumed.
Yep. Can we have those designs emailed to us, please? I'm sure what's being proposed on that intersection.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Okay. That makes. Yeah. So, and is that the same with All Saints, or were they waiting? The next one, item 11.
Yeah, so the All Saints is a raised crossing. At this stage, it can be delayed. It was the more expensive device out of the list, and that one on its own was far exceeded the budget.
Yep. All right. Wonderful. Okay, so does everyone know what we're voting on now? So basically everything in here, but I said on my recommendation, I'd like to move it, but without item 5 in it, please. Yep, seconded Councillor Green. Any further discussion? Put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declare it unanimous. Okay. We'll now move to questions with notice. Page 618. Councillor Green and Harl.
I think we're happy with the response.
Yep.
Mr Mayor, can I just make a comment about that? That West Rock also sent in submissions. I'm sure the council is aware of it, but that information would also be available to any councillor should they wish to have a look at it. They were actually, in their submission, what they were concerned about was it was a joint technical review of the Western Sydney Airport environment impact statements, flight paths, in partnership with member councils to assess the reliability and technical accuracy of the aircraft noise assessment presented in the draft EIS. And what they're doing is just assisting the different member councils to reach an informed view on the potential aircraft noise impact within their respective areas. So that might be of interest to councillors.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next one is your one, Council Rhodes, question 02, which is on page 620.
Yes, I thank the council for their response. It would only be what has alerted me to this was the Governor Macquarie Drive and Hume Highway intersection work, which is in the report that has been given to the council, and I have seen that. But was there a grant for that particular operation of that delivery of that particular one? And are we still getting that grant? Oops.
Yes and yes.
Microphone, please, Councillor.
Because question 4 was, if so, and what works and what grants have been affected by such situation of us losing those grants? And the response was road safety programs and black spot programs, but it didn't specify exactly which ones were included in those grants. Did we lose all those grants?
No, we had some money allocated by a federal grant, which was matched by council.
Yeah.
And we haven't lost any grant money to date that I'm aware of on that intersection. And when we applied the delivery management framework to GMD, we had to halt for a little while just to make sure that all our ducks were in a row in relation to actually what it cost, because we put A and B together and it didn't equate to C given escalation. But now we've now had a cure plan in place for some time and resolved that matter to our satisfaction. So the grant's still at foot.
The question 3, which is the response, is there or has there been any grants for roadworks that councillors ever had to return because the cost of delivery of the works was higher than the estimated costs because of that problem that we had and the times that it takes of the amount secured by means of a grant that has been insufficient to cover the costs? The response was yes. The next part of the question was, if so, what works and what grants have been affected by that situation? And your response was road safety program and black spot programs, but we don't have any details about what actual, could that be supplied? That's all that I'm asking for.
Yes, I'll just revert just quickly to the Director of Planning and Compliance who may have some more granular detail.
Okay.
Through the acting CEO, yes, I suppose further detail could be provided as to what those 2 grant applications entailed. Effectively, management and myself made a decision to not proceed with the grant applications because we weren't confident that the actual cost of the delivery was accurate and that it wouldn't blow out. And the priority was to ensure that there wasn't an unreasonable financial risk to council. They're quite, I'll call them systematic or transactional grants, so they do come around regularly. So the thought process was that we would hone in maybe on a couple of priority ones, ensure that the costings were carried out appropriately, and throw our hat back in the ring just with a better costed schedule of works. Could be for a lesser amount of projects, could be for more, but we just wanted to make sure that the schedule of works and the costing was T's are crossed, I's are dotted. So.
Excellent. Yes, well, I maintain, could that be delivered to councillors, just the more detailed information about that, as to which ones quoting our costings wasn't quite what it was by the time we got to put it in for a grant?
Yeah, through the chair, we will do that.
Yep.
It's an important segue that we're getting a lot of these grant fundings. Let's say Edmondson Avenue I think it was 2018, some grant funding. When we done the numbers in 2022, we were $50 million the wrong way on the original grant. So in those circumstances, we speak to the grant provider, that was the DPIE at the time, who said that you're not the only council in this bucket, and we're finding this all over with the escalation of costs. So what we typically do, and we'll do in this occasion, is we won't take a risky position for council. We'll go back to the funding source and then negotiate. And with Edmondson Avenue, we're now going through a new grant called HS2, which is linked to housing, and we'll recover that money, but we just couldn't proceed with those works at risk.
And I want to just acknowledge to the council that it wasn't a reflection upon council, that this is just a economic situation that we found ourselves in, where we had increasing in costs that expanded exponentially before our grants had the opportunity to be accepted, and when they were accepted, they were out of whack with the increase in costs. So thank you very much.
All right, so nothing from that? None of, all right, we'll now move into the confidential items. First one is, confidential book 2, the red one, Conf 01. No, we don't have to go and close it. Oh, we got, we still have the CEO one as well. Yep. So the first one is Conf 01, update on a fact-finding investigation regarding conduct of employees at a rally held at 20th April. Which is...
I move that council
3.
receive and note the report. Move on.
I just want to confirm, does anyone have a conflict of interest regarding this matter?
Not me.
No, no conflicts of interest? Does everybody know the person regarding who the report is about? I think it's important for councils to know in case they want to declare an interest. No. Person's not named in the report. Sorry, what was that? So, do you mind just putting the microphone? So everyone can hear.
Sorry, we need to close the meeting if any names of staff are going to be discussed.
Different than the interim report the New South Wales government published, with people's names in it. Thank you. Very good point.
So I've moved that the motion be
Well,
received.
I think councils need to know the name because I think there may be conflicts of interest. So I think that needs to be, I don't know how you want to do that, acting CEO, because I don't want any council to be accused of not having the information in front of them and then voting on it and then potentially having a conflict. Yep, sorry.
I move that we defer this item until we move into closed session with other items that need to be discussed in closed session.
Can I just ask a question? What are we trying to achieve through this item on the agenda? That we should know the names of the people that have been involved in this? Is it relevant, really?
Yeah,
Isn't that operational?
The Code of Conduct states that if you have a relationship with someone or know someone, or have an affiliation with them, then you shouldn't be voting on any matters relating to that person.
We're not voting on anything, are we? We're receiving a noting.
It's still receiving a noting.
I don't think receiving a noting would constitute a conflict of interest.
It does. It does, Councillor. We've had a move. It's been moved that we defer this till to the end of the meeting if we go into closed session. Moved by Deputy Mayor, and that's under It's if we'll move it to the end first, whether we go into closed session. Yep. Thank you.
Just before, can I just...
Sorry, I said it's been moved, seconded. Councillor Moon, any discussion? All those in favour, against, declare it carried. We'll move that after Conf 04. Yep.
Is it possible to clarify the intention of the motion? It's to receive a note.
It's a procedural matter. Ultimately, right, if the matter covers someone, i.e., for example, if this is someone that I had a close and personal relationship with, even though we're not only receiving and noting, I still have an obligation to declare.
Okay.
At least we're not taking action, but we're receiving and noting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just bear with me for a moment. The next item is Conf 02.
Happy to move that way.
Proposed acquisition of lot 295, Edmondson Avenue, Austral, page 6, with the recommendation on page 7. Moved Councillor Rhodes, seconded Deputy Mayor. Is there any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against? I'll declare that carried. Next item is Conf 03, page 10. Page 10, Conf 03, purchase of lot 812, in Preston's, with the recommendation on page 11.
Mr. Mayor, again, I'm willing to move it, but can I just ask the question when I do? I've got no idea as to the estimated, oh yes I do, yes. 17. No, it's okay, yes, I can move that, Mr. Mayor.
Moved, Councillor Rhodes, seconded. Pardon? No, we did Conf 2. We're on Conf 3 now.
I'm just wondering, with given that we're in caretaker, and the limit that we are able to deal with is exceeded. I'm just asking. I'd ask the question: should they be included? Is this something we should be doing?
I think you're right, councillors. Thank you. Oh, hold on. We got some. I'll refer to the CEO.
Yes, Councillor, good question, but it's not an issue. It's the greater of $150,000 or 1% of rates, and both of the properties that we're looking at are less than that 1% of rates.
Previously, we deferred the traffic committee agenda items, which totalled 310,000. So why are we not taking the same approach?
I will just refer to the Director of Corporate Services. Is there any demarcation between the property acquisition and the other things that we worked under 393B to defer?
No, it applies right across. Correct?
Well, if it's 1%, it's 1%. Let me just.
No, the same advice has been given in respect of all matters. The restriction is 150,000 or 1% of rates in the previous financial year, whichever is the greater. That is the financial limit.
And so what is sorry, not having the number, roughly what's 1% of rates last year?
About 1.3 million.
1.3 million. And is that total expenditure for the meeting or for the caretaker period, or is it just for an item?
Well, I think it's an interesting question, Mr. Mayor. not one I think has been closely tested. I think the way we've interpreted it is any decision that is any exercise of a function by council to enter into a contract or an undertaking that would exceed that limit is a decision that shouldn't be taken.
Those the three matters that ones we've got here together would exceed that 1.3.
And
they can't be treated individually, surely. I mean, in terms of what would be being asked to pass.
It can be treated separately.
Just really quickly, I don't think the advice is necessarily the issue, but it's the application and consistency of application that I'm a little bit confused about, because when it came to the traffic committee item, the total expenditure was $310,000, and we were given the reason of, well, we're in caretaker period, we need to defer these, and we can safely defer them, that's fine. So why is there a difference in approach between dealing with the traffic committee items versus this?
I can only reiterate that the same advice has been given in respect of all matters.
Councillors, if it helps, the circular that refers to it says, councillors, general managers and other delegates of council must not exercise the following functions during the caretaker period: entering into any contract, not plural, contract, or undertaking involving expenditure or receipts by the council of an amount equal to or greater than $150,000 or 1% of council's revenue from rates from the preceding financial year, whichever is the larger.
Sorry, I'm not querying the advice. I've read the legislation and I agree with you, that's fine. But my question is around the inconsistency of the application of it. Why are we holding the 150,000 threshold in one instance, but holding the 1% in another? Yeah,
our position is consistent, but I'll just had it explained to me by the Director of Planning. So let's have that explanation again.
Through the acting CEO, the 2 out of the 3 items did exceed the 1% threshold. One was at 6 million, the other at 24. Apologies, I probably think we reacted with urgency with the traffic committee items, thinking that it was the 150. So to just as a process of caution, removed the 2 other items with it just plainly an oversight that it wasn't the either or. So that would have been the only one that we've just determined by way of error. But the other ones would also exceed the 1% rates. So it's either or, they would exceed both thresholds. So it was only the traffic committee where we've just reacted in a speedy time and not realised that we could have kept the other 2. But we'll deal with those 2 items at the next traffic committee at a future date.
Oh no, we can deal with them now. If we can sort them out. So is everyone clear on?
Just to make it perfectly clear then, Mr Mayor, you're saying that it is the percentage of the rates that we're evaluating them on. Is that right?
The Act is saying that. Can we just have a reference to what section, please, if I can, through the CEO? No,
with the limit.
The 150 or 1% of rates.
That's not the legislation. It's a circular, Office of Local Government circular. Oh, it is referenced in the legislation, but it's let me just see if I can refer it. Okay, GC.
It's section 393B of the Local Government General Regulation of 2021, which deals with restrictions on council functions during the caretaker period.
Can we have that mentioned in the motions that we're approving, just those wordings, in accordance with, and blah, 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 blah?
Can add it for a point if you like, but yeah. But it's 393B and the caretaker provisions.
390, sorry. So it's 393 capital B of the local government, brackets, general, end brackets, regulation 2021.
Is everyone happy to proceed? Okay. So we had a moved Council Rhodes seconder, please. Do we have a seconder, Deputy Mayor? Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against? I declare it carried. We'll go back to the traffic committee, but maybe after this one. Next item is Addendum 4. And it's confidential book to.
Yep.
All right. So
book 4.
Confidential, bit of a thicker red book. Book 4. Who else declared interest? Yeah, but you're staying in. She declared she was staying, going. Oh, she's going out. Yes. All right. Okay. We don't have to close the door. Okay. Tina's gone. Everyone is gone. No other interests are there.
No.
Yep. Okay. We'll now deal with this item, Conf 04, page 3, and the recommendation is on page 3. Moved, Councillor Hadid, seconded, Councillor Harrell. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare that unanimous. That one is done. Can you please ask the councillors to come back in?
Still there. Is it a mole? It's become a mole. As soon as you can.
All right. Now let's go. I want to. I think just for to save the procedural potential complications, I'll move these as a mayoral minute, which is the traffic committee items, which are on the memo. Which is I'll move them as a mayoral minute. Item 1, 15th Avenue and Craig Avenue intersection, Austral, and item 2. Number 2, item 11, All Saints Catholic Senior College, proposed raised pedestrian crossing. I'll move those that we adopt them as they were in the recommendation. Seconded. No, I don't need a second mayor minute. Thank you. Just making sure you guys are okay. there's no discussion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? I declare it carried. All right, so we'll now deal with back that Conf 01. This microphone, please.
Before we do, a question on whether there are any other confidential items that need to be dealt with before we go into closed session.
There is one, but yeah, so there is one other one, which the CEO highlighted initially. But with regards to that, we maybe don't have to go into closed session because everyone's been emailed the name of the gentleman. So if everyone wants to just check their email, the CEO just sent it out.
So can I just ask, is there a reason why internet connection in the building is so poor? Yeah, it's really slow. And there's no Wi-Fi where there was previously.
Is that a quick? Do you want to resolve that? Through the chair, I've got the Director, Customer Experience and Business Performance to talk about our performance of our internet.
Through the chair, there is a recent defect we've discovered in relation to the NBN boxes across the building. So that's possibly one of the reasons why the Wi-Fi is slow in this area.
I wish I known this morning. I was on a panel with someone from NBN Co. So
Thank you.
Put it on.
Just want to confirm that everyone's got that email, so everyone has the name. Oh.
Councillor's going to show you.
No, we're not in closed session. No, we might not have to. We might have to win. The point is about communicating the name in case anybody wants to declare an interest.
I'll declare an interest in that I have dealt with the person that's named in their course of work. It's non-significant, non-pecuniary, but I will leave the room.
Should I declare? Only dealt with him at that in that context. It's less than. It's non-pecuniary, less than significant, but I will leave the chamber.
Just before you guys go, if you can please fill out the forms, so we're. We'll just have a quick 2-minute toilet break before we get. Sorry, back at 5:50. Once. Confirm the one that you declared an interest on. So if you want to still go out, sorry, we didn't deal with it. What was that?
Did you do those forms?
Did you hand in the forms?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. The CEO got them? They have to go to the CEO. Who's got the forms? They need to be handed to the CEO.
Thanks.
All right, cool. I just want to point out that just in the report, it talks about on page 3 about the slurs in the last paragraph 1, line 4. That it's also no, we're not confidential. No, we're not confidential. They shouldn't be able. They should be away in a position where they can't hear what's going on. It's also the chant was also offensive to people of the Jewish faith as well. I just think that we need to have that noted somewhere. Yeah. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I know that we're just receiving and noting the report, but I think it's important to take a minute to commend the process by which this has come to us. I think it's really important that behaviour like we saw and the intimidation and bullying that we saw that day it's important that it's called out and it's important that it's investigated, and I thank Council for doing that as requested. And I hope that we can, this gives us the confidence to continue to want nothing more than a healthy, harmonious environment to operate in where bullying and intimidation and racial and religious slurs will not be tolerated. So thank you.
Any further discussion or anyone move Councillor Rhodes? Do we have a seconder? Councillor Moon. Any discussion? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Declare it carried. Can someone please invite the councillors to come back in? All right. So I think what do we have? One item left, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's on the confidential report as received from the CEO. Yeah. Councillor Hadid? No, not in closed session. You don't have to move into closed session. You can move it without going into closed session. Microphone, please.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, look, I would like to delegate to the CEO to deal with this issue and to act in the best interest of Liverpool City Council. As simple as that.
Do you have a seconder? Councillor Harrell? I think you still have to keep a point 1. Is that right? If you do that? And make that a point 2 from what you just said?
Yes. Point 2.
Well, this is fine.
So then keep the point 1 and then add that as a point 2. Or change the point 2 into what?
You might want to narrate it.
maybe you give them help with some wording, maybe? Maybe help them with some wording. if you want.
So point 2. Sorry, Director. Okay, I might just revert to the General Counsel. How can we narrate the correct response here? I think the intent of Council is that they are allowing the acting CEO to negotiate best terms for Council and negotiate and mediate. So perhaps I just might hand over to the General Counsel for just a description of how we might record that.
That's the intent of Resolution 2, is to authorise you to settle the proceedings, which in my view encompasses negotiation. In essence, the UCO would provide instructions to me and I would make these things happen.
Watching. All right. Any further discussion?
Can we just clarify about the cost?
Then you got to go into closed session.
I think if you're going to go on the cost, I think it's there. If you're going to go into that, we're going to close session.
We'll have to go.
Can you just explain? Right, okay. So it's the family court that we would be doing that.
So the jurisdiction that we are dealing with at the moment is the Land and Environment Court, who handle matters under the Local Government Act. And there's a concurrent matter in the Federal Court. But the issue in relation to the Land and Environment Court would be that if we were unsuccessful, we may be exposed to the applicant's costs.
All these different authorisations that we would be going through, are we going through one of these or all of them? We've got the Fair Work, Federal Circuit, Land and Environment, and a total. So is it the total cost of the...
We have two concurrent actions, one in the Federal Court, one in the Land and Environment Court. The applicant has made a decision to go in both jurisdictions, but council would typically not be exposed to a risk that if we were unsuccessful in one, that we go to the other. So we're not going to get, it's not a double whammy.
And the recommendation... So this recommendation is for two different court actions, is that correct? And you're trying to answer them both in the one... I don't like that. I would have preferred to have two motions separated.
So we don't have a choice. We're not the applicant, so there's been an application in two different jurisdictions, and what was what council would resolve is that you would give the CEO, with the assistance of the General Counsel, authority to navigate those jurisdictions and get the best outcome. We weren't put in this, we didn't choose to be put in two jurisdictions, but that's where we are.
The existing case which is going through the Environment Court, this is to give you jurisdiction if I don't know, there's something else that you want to follow legally about that.
Well, I'll break it down simply. Okay, so at the moment, this current matter that we were told about today is in the Land and Environment Court.
We were told about today.
Correct. Did? This morning after 9 o'clock. That's why it's before council now.
Did you receive anything? I didn't.
It's in the papers. You received them the minute I did, yeah? So it's in the white envelope that you received with council papers.
Okay. Okay.
So it's a brand new...
Oh, I'm confused.
They've both been provided. It's as simple as this. The latest application is one of reinstatement or 38 weeks. That's the claim, and that should be held in the Land and Environment Court. You've got a decision to make as council whether you give me authority with the guidance of the General Counsel to negotiate the best settlement for council. If we took the actions on and we were unsuccessful in the actions, we would be exposed to not only our costs but the costs of the appellant. The applicant.
Can I ask a question? I'm not sure who the mover and seconder are of the motion, but in number 2, can we have the word negotiate and, so the CEO to negotiate and settle the proceedings?
Yes, I think that's perfectly reasonable. And just to be clear with everybody, you're being asked to do two things. One is direct a defence, and the other is authorise settlement. So we would only settle if we can, and it's favourable to the council to do so. Otherwise, we'll defend. So we need the authority to do both things. And to answer Councillor Rhodes' question, if I can, there's no way we would resolve one action and leave the other one running. We would try to wrap up everything, including any other claims which might be brought, because we wouldn't want to leave the council exposed.
Mr. Mayor, well, to my understanding, the council's going through the caretaker mode. Caretaker, which is me, we don't have much say about it. All what we can do is just to delegate authority to the acting CEO to deal with the issue, not us. We are in caretaker mode. Is that correct?
We went through that before, but yes.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So we can't do anything. So wasting our time. All what we can do is just delegate authority to the acting CEO to do his best and utmost to act in the best interest of the council. That's all.
All right, I'll take that as the right of reply then.
Yeah.
If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? It's the moved by Councillor, the top of... It was moved, Councillor Hadid, seconded
Councillor Hall. We can't do anything. I still wants to talk. So did you put the motion, Mr. Mayor, or what?
Yeah, now everyone knows what they're voting on.
Yeah?
I'll put. He just covered that. The General Counsel just covered that.
Point 2.
You satisfied?
Just through the chair, it is critical, given your approval of 1 and 2, that I recover the subpoena summons documents in relation to this matter and they don't leave the room. And the reason is, in its current state, we are disadvantaging council if any of that information was released to the public. So not only is it highly confidential, it may impact our ability to negotiate and settle. Yes, what I'll do, as per the recent issue with the OLG, I'll make a copy available with the executive assistants,
Bring them all here.
and people can read it
Richard,
there.
bring it to the CEO. Maz.
Also, from the directors, if you could pass, directors, please, pass your copies up.
Just write your names on them so you know which one.
Can I ask a question, please? Probably of the CEO. Are these the only copies and they were only printed? There was no electronic copy of this information?
These are the only copies, the only electronic copies that are currently available, are shared between myself and General Counsel on our office emails.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no further discussion. Yep. Has everyone handed theirs in yet? Yes. Yes. All right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against, declare it carried. That concludes our business. Unless there's anything else I've missed out on.
I would just like to thank everybody for the last 2 and a bit years and say for the most part has been a pleasure and other times it's been lots of fun and Look, no, in all sincerity, thank you to the staff who have provided endless support and information and, helped us to make the decisions we had to make. There have been some really tough decisions made in this chamber, and I have been humbled to have been able to be involved in them. I thank the council for making those decisions the way that we have, and I acknowledge that there is more work to do, and I certainly hope to be sitting here in a couple of months' time continuing the good work that we've achieved in this term. So thank you.
I'd also like to just say a thank you to all the staff who I've had the absolute honour and privilege of working alongside over the last 8 years. 8 years is a long time to have been involved in the organisation, but I absolutely acknowledge that there are staff who have been here much longer who have contributed so much to the organisation. Although I will not be back in a couple of months' time, I will definitely be working closely with particularly the staff in my role as the local Member of Parliament, and I know we'll be able to achieve really great things for the community in that capacity. So thank you, go well, and really appreciate everything that you do for our community on a daily basis.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I want to thank the staff. They've been great, and it's been a pleasure working with you all. And I think that, I think that there has been some great things accomplished, okay? And I know there's still a lot of work that has to be done, but it is certainly no reflection upon the staff. And I think that the staff have done the utmost. And I had the, am I allowed to say about renewable tourism? Okay, and I only just found out today that Liverpool Council is up for tourism awards, and you know that tourism is great, is very high on my agenda, and I hold it in my heart. I do believe that it will be a great source of employment to Liverpool in the future, and I want to congratulate Council prematurely for at least being nominated for the Tourism Awards. When I first arrived on Council, tourism wasn't even on the agenda. After 3 years in the first term of Council, from 2016, I got a line about tourism. Then after 5 years, I got a paragraph, and I'm very excited with the fact that this Council now fully endorses the opportunities for Liverpool by trying to gather that employment opportunity through tourism for Liverpool. And I thank Council for that. Love you all. Maybe I'll see you, maybe I won't, but I thank you enormously. Thank you.
Councillor Hadid.
What can I say? Well, look, first of all, I would like to thank all the staff and my colleague councillors, started from 2008 till today. Well, I would like to say thank you very much. And look, I'm sorry if I've done some decision. It's not in your favour, please forgive me. Because my intention was to serve this city in the best interest of the people. I believe when we start 2008, from my own opinion, Liverpool was a dead wood. If you look at it now, is Liverpool recognised as one of the best cities in the New South Wales. Still, I believe a lot of work we have to do, but, it's not in our hand. We try to do a lot, but, the red tape sometimes stops us from achieving what we want to do, actually. And I believe my colleague Peter, he knows that. So, well, look, again, thank you very much for everyone. And anyone, of you, my colleagues. If you believe I've done something wrong to you, please forgive me. And I promise you I will keep in touch with you all. And I wish you all the best, especially the one who wants to run again. All the best. And keep doing the right things regardless of your party, because I believe Liverpool and local government is all about the people of the city. It's not about your party. So this is why most of the time I act in favor of the people, not in my party. So it's proven, and that's what I like to see from you in the future. Again, thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, thank you. We've been together since 2008. And, well, look, I believe you have been one of the best mayors I have seen in Liverpool. And wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Yes, Councillor Green.
I said on Friday, for those who were attended, that council has been a bit of a wild ride. Has been enjoyable sometimes. I'm not one to really enjoy the roller coaster, but never mind. I thank staff and I thank you for your patience with me at times. I'm sorry I ask sometimes curly questions that sometimes get to the nitty-gritty and sometimes get under the skin.
Are you really sorry though?
No, look,
No,
I try hard not to be a pain, but I like to unpack things. So thank you for your patience, and for some, thank you for your camaraderie. This is when we all work together and work collaboratively and cooperatively, to have that level of comfort and safety and trust with each other and respect is really important. I thank my councillor colleagues, who I'm sure I have been a pain in the arse to from time to time. Not intentional, sometimes it just happens that way. But thank you so much for your joining me on this journey, this little travelling thing that I've done, and I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best, Mazar, in the future, and nothing to apologise for.
Councillor Hall.
Yes, just a few comments to Mazar and I and yourself, Mr. Mayor. We started in 2008. We've seen 3 different places where we've held council meetings. Yeah. This is the 3rd. Do you remember we started off with the place that ended up in flames?
I think we had one of
33 Moore Street, and then here. And in every case, we've actually improved ourselves.
Didn't we have a meeting at the Casula Powerhouse?
That was part of when the place burnt down. We had all those other places that we were using as temporary places. So yes, we did. We were at the stage at the front, and also in the side room on the side there for a while. Yeah, we did. So in every instance, we've actually improved our situation. I think coming to 33 Moore Street, that was a really good decision. We ended up with a place that ended up not costing us anything. If you remember Hoxton Park Road, I remember talking to Phil, and Phil Tolhurst was the CEO at the time, and he said, Peter, this is really a bad place. It's poorly designed. It requires a lot of air conditioning power. I think it was $3 million was the operational costs of that place. So going to 33 Moore Street, which we got basically for the same amount of insurance money that we had already moved into there. So our computers, now all our desks and so on was already there. I think it was one of the better decisions, plus the fact that it earned us money. We had an income, and that then negated the cost of running the place as we did on Hoxton Park Road. But yes, I'd also like to say thank you to the staff. And I've known most of you, and I think Farouk and I go back probably the longest. I don't know if anybody's here been longer than Farouk in 2008, but look, it's been a pleasure. Staff have been wonderful to me. I hope I haven't upset anybody. Nobody's ever said anything to that effect, so I think I've done all right.
We had a meeting at Casula Powerhouse to appoint Mr. Potoli as the CEO for Liverpool City Council.
We did too, that's right. So, yes, so there's a bit of history. And depending on what happens next, I may not be around, but certainly the next term will be my last term. But it's been a pleasure. I think I've tried to contribute to Liverpool in my own fashion. We haven't always agreed between ourselves, but I think overall Liverpool has benefited from it. When we started in 2008, one of the reasons for starting them was to try and make Liverpool a more presentable place, and I think we've done that, particularly with the Mayor's idea of we need more cranes on the skyline, and you've certainly achieved that. We had none of these multi-storey buildings back in 2008 that I remember. So we've come a long way, and Liverpool over the decades has more or less been ignored. When, you know, Campbelltown, Camden, and even Fairfield, all of these places around us have expanded and Liverpool was left behind, but it's now catching up. It's its time. And so Liverpool certainly is going to progress, and it's a wonderful thing to see. This place is an example of the growth, and the fact that we now have our own council chambers that we left in, I think, 2007, was when we were at roughly where the 33 Moore Street is now. The council chambers was next to that, and we moved out of there to Hoxton Park Road. 2007, I think, was the sign on top of it. So with the intention, that was always to go back there, and look, we've achieved it. It's just taken a long time to do that. So congratulations to everybody who's helped this place be what it is, and I'm very proud of the fact that we've got this far. Thank you.
Anyone else? No. All right. Well, everyone, I'll just, I guess, wrap up by saying I think this is, the third goodbye that we've done in the last few meetings. Firstly, I want to thank all the staff for your amazing work and effort over the time that we've all worked together. Ultimately, we hope that we haven't annoyed you too much, and all we've tried to do is channel the energies of 250,000 people from us to you guys, and that's where our passion comes from, and that's what we're trying to do. Yes, and it comes with its, as someone said to me today, when they asked me, what's going on, I said, well, any pilot expects the hops on a plane and expects there to be turbulence, and you'd be crazy if there wouldn't be. So I think we've had that, but as I say, it's how you work together and how you come out of that, not how you fall, how you get back up. So I think there's been many amazing things that have been achieved, and I want to personally thank each and every one of you and your teams for your work and effort in doing what you have been doing for the organisation and the community. I want to thank all the councillors for your passion for your community and fighting for what you believe is right and presenting the views across this chamber. I hope that you've felt that you've all had the opportunity, at least on 95% plus of the occasions, to get what you want out, and you have said it, and you've been able to speak, and there's been a bit more freedom and free-flowingness versus harshness here, as much as we could. And I just hope that you've had that opportunity to at least have been heard, so at least your fellow councillors can consider you. Say goodbye to Councillor Goodman. Is short, sharp and sweet. After 2 years and 9 months, Karishma's gone after 8 years. In particular, I just cannot express my gratitude and appreciation to you, Councillor Hadid, for your amazing contribution to the community, but in particular your assistance and guidance to me throughout the many, many years. It's been, when you look back at it now, 16 years is a significant long time. It's a third of my life. And you've helped me, put me under your wing, and you've guided me, and hopefully I haven't annoyed you too much. But, it's... I wouldn't be me if I didn't annoy you, but and I'm going to miss you whether I'm back here or not. Who knows? But it's going to be very different not having you here. And yes, I hope maybe you can come along at the council meeting and earn a chair like Ellen has. You know what I mean? It's yes, I'm going to miss you, and just thank you for everything. You've been amazing. So thank you, Councillor. Lastly, I want to thank the community, for those of you who are out there listening and that are around. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to serve you over these last on and off years that I've been here. This is 7 years as mayor now, with a break in between. I'm just honoured that you've given me the opportunity to sit in this chair, and hopefully I have not let you down, and you're happy with the performance in one shape, size, or form. It's a very challenging job, as everyone around in this room knows, not just councillors but also the staff. They say leadership is challenging. It's hard to keep everyone happy, and they say if you want to keep everyone happy, don't be a leader. Sell ice cream instead, because everyone loves ice cream. So. Maybe I think it's my next profession, I might go and do that, actually, sell ice cream. Be a bit easier. But look, I just want to, once again, thank you for this opportunity to serve. I think everyone in this room, the community, councillors and the staff should be very proud of the achievements that we have done. And I would challenge anyone out there to take what has been achieved in this collective as councillors with any other councillor in the council in the last 2 years and 9 months. And I want to give you a quick little recap. We know the budget position is in a positive budget position. Significant turnaround. We've gone from being, I think when he's not here now, the CFO told us when we got excited and we wanted to spend all this money and we first got elected, we're going to be going bankrupt in 18 months. We thought that was lovely. So thankfully, we've done that. But the awards that council has been able to achieve through its events and many other things, amazing and wonderful to hear that we've been nominated for a couple of more. Childcare centres doing wonderfully, exceeding expectation. DAs to go from 1,100 outstanding development applications to being number one in the SAFE for housing approvals. $1.7 billion is not an easy task that has been achieved in this time frame. And dare I say, a year and a half, just over a year and a half, amazing work. A new LEP, that is not a small task. That is a significant document that each and every one of us worked on to get through, and we started it and we finished it. And that should not be should not be discounted. And that's the first time that's happened since 16 or 2008? Yeah, 16 years. We have a new LEP. The improvements down at the depot, the new depot, the telematics, the DMF, always get confused. Great wins over there. Austral, the significant land that we bought in Austral over these last couple of years, which has been really great. I think we can all say that we started off with our biggest risk, and I think the only one thing that kept me up at night during this whole term was Civic Place, and thankfully we can walk out of here saying that then that's now hopefully a fully leased building, which is a great achievement for everyone involved in that. Let's not forget that when we started off our term, that COVID, it was the first month that half our staff wasn't here because COVID is when it basically went through the whole community. And then we had 3 floods in 6 months. That is not an insignificant thing to happen to our community. We had Newbridge Road closed, or the Lighthorse Bridge closed, because there was a barge that was hanging on one rope, that if that rope had gone loose, it was going to go fly down the river and potentially take out that whole bridge. We dealt with that. Record amounts of money on roads. Winning $177 million in West Invest funding. That is money in a livability that this council has never, ever seen before. That is gigantic. It is enormous. It's city changing. And that was done with amazing work and effort and the staff and preparing for that. Having the MOU with UNSW, ticking off that we're a university city. So these are not small things. And, it's only been 2 years, 2 years and 9 months. I think everyone should be able to take credit and be happy with that. And regardless of what others have said, it's an amazing achievement. And I challenge any council to come near us with that. And how good is it? We finally solved the rolled curve program. That's another good one. Get out of the way. Yeah. Sorted out sporties today. So yeah, great work, everyone. And I think we should all walk away, regardless of what happens, that we've hopefully given our time to something that has been noble and hopefully helps the community. And thank you very much, everyone, for allowing me, and thank you, community, for allowing me to be part of that.
All that while dysfunctional. Great work, Mr. Mayor.
Imagine if we were functional.
Well done.
Not to have the final comment, but it doesn't have to be the final comment. But we're acknowledging our councillors who are not going to be here next time by their choice. And I wanted to, even though he's absent today, I wanted to acknowledge Councillor Carnib, who's not on the meeting today, but thank him for his kindness and support when I have been in his company, and he's added a lot to our community over a lot of years. And I wish him, and I'm sure as we all do, wish him all the best in his retirement from the council chamber.
Hear, hear. Well, that being said, I'll declare the meeting officially closed. Thank you, everyone.